try and prove to us that they deserve to go to the World Esports Championship in Riyadh later this year.
The top 2 will make it. It's just 2 spots left for all these 14 countries that we have playing today. $25,000 will be up for grabs as well. So there will be at least a consolidation prize in terms of all the teams that don't make. You know, still 5K. That's still $5 grand on the 3rd prize. So
yeah,
obviously still going up the top spots, but top 2 is what you want to have right here. Djibouti, unfortunately, as we have them on our screen right now, great first game, even more surprising so because they're playing as 3-man. Unfortunately, due to traveling issues, one of the players couldn't attend. He couldn't make it to the Casablanca to Morocco, and that also means they will be playing as a 3. And I'm not sure who that 4th player is, but I think he must be the coach. I don't think he's actually in here. So Djibouti with tiny bits of problems, but as we saw in the first game, that doesn't mean much.
It doesn't mean much. They had a really, really good start to the tournament. Morocco, decent showing from them as well. A team that was talking and thinking about hot dropping. We talked to them yesterday. They were thinking about hot dropping with Egypt, but they basically just made a bit of a gentleman's agreement. They realized if we're gonna be hot dropping, it shouldn't be on Erangel, it shouldn't be on the map we play the most, and it also should not be on versus potentially the best team in the lobby or the 2nd best team in the lobby amongst us. Now, they are in Rozok, but they also have 2 players in the garden compound, and that is Niger contesting that part of the city, that hard spawn, and that fight is kicking off here in a few seconds, Alex.
Oh, yes, it is. Zenka is going to have to put up some numbers. He wants to keep Morocco alive in this round. And as you said, it's going to come down to the wire. Every single player of that Moroccan lineup is here. So the first one, Kazakhstan opens it up, and the first player goes down. Morocco is off to a strong start, and by the looks of it, I think at this point, it might just be a matter of time until they clean up this player, but he's got a shotgun in hand, and these types of duels are never easy ones to be won, but Lazy just goes up, takes him down, and it's the 2nd frag of this round.
Easy, nice, clean. They take the man advantage, they use the man advantage, and they clean it up, not even taking a single knock, just taking a few points of damage, and get themselves 3 elims, a whole lot of space around their loot spot, and a vehicle. Exactly the start you would want for a team like Morocco, for a squad like them. They want to kick it off, and they want to show everybody in the lobby, you're not messing with us, you're not landing next to us, you're not contesting us in any form or shape, and well, their squad Niger, they will have learned that lesson.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see if that happens again. I don't think it will. I mean, just there is an excuse to be made to some degree because obviously the first time you're playing aerial now,
yeah,
but we've had scrims. So maybe there's the possibility they didn't know Morocco was going to be there, but I think more so the possibility is even higher that they knew they were going to be there, they were going to test it. When they want this spot, it's a good spot to hold as well. Opens up lots of stages of a round like this. Decisive worth losing 2 players over.
Why will that be 3? Morocco even left a player in Rozok cleaning up peacefully, and they still have the man advantage. So that can't happen, and that's a position you ever want to put yourself into, as we have a bit of a glimpse towards Egypt. The team will be hopefully talking plenty about, and a team that everybody in the lobby is kind of expecting to be up there at the top. They loot Pachinki here. They decided, well, if Pachinki's free, why should we be hot dropping for Rozok? And that makes so much sense to me.
I'd be the first one to take that city. I'd be the first one. If there's any map, any city I could potentially take, it is Pachinki, 10 out of 10 times. And we've seen this plenty of teams in globals, even in PMGZ, have fought for this city. No matter the version of it, no matter the year. Teams are always looking to take the city. Best rotation paths, best timings, obviously best loot as well to some degree, and you always find vehicle spots. Yes, sometimes you might only get out of this one as 3 vehicles, but generally you'll find a 4th one somewhere down the road, so you'll be fine in terms of vehicle options as well.
Yeah, I think the one argument out of all of those is you're so centralized, right? You have good timings into every single circle that can happen. You're never really late. You always have decent priority, and even if you don't get a shift on yourself, you can usually still sort of take the 2nd best compound, 3rd best compound, something along those lines, because you're never far off. So that's a big thing. That's a big argument for that loot spot. And usually the counter argument is you don't want to be hot dropping for it, then everybody always hot drops for it. But it was free in this lobby, so obviously you should take it.
Then again, we don't know the build-up, the entire story of the build-up coming into the tournament. These teams not only have practiced here in LAN now, yesterday, even I think the day before that, so they've been practicing for 2 days. Yes, not that many scrim games have been played itself, but they have a Discord and stuff like that. They know to some degree where each and every one is dropping. You can see this right here, 14-team lobby to have that few contests, except for like a tiny compound. Goes to show you, these teams are prepared. These countries want to show what they're made of. They want to show that to the best of their abilities. And how do you do that, right? Keeping all 4 players alive in the early stages.
Oh, for sure. There's nothing worse for your game than having an early hot drop. So if you do really care about your loot for all that much, you have to get that done quickly. You want to get that done in scrims potentially, but it's just a messy topic. It's a rough topic. It's hard to convince the other team to leave. And if they don't leave, then both of you are essentially losing that hot drop. This is an interesting one. Mauritius picking up 3, but there's still 1 Nigerian player just on the very top of that crane, and that's a bit of an annoying spot to deal with.
Yeah, in case you haven't heard, there was one sentence the Mauritius players told me before going into the games today, and that said, "We are killing machines." And I said, well, I'm excited to see it happen. And the first game, they go out like this, that's massive. So Mauritius is off to a great start yet again. It's going to give them even more confidence and kind of confirms that suspicion that we had, that it's not only down to circle luck. In Sanok, sometimes it can be. There are certain compounds, you just get 7, 6, maybe even 5 circles are enough to some degree to get yourself, maybe even a chicken dinner at some point. But this time around, Mauritius, as we said last game as well, they held their edge clear. They didn't make any individual mistakes. They lost that one player, I think, in phase 6 or 7, but that didn't really matter too much. Yeah. So them starting off again now, grabbing frags in an isolated fight against Nigeria, that's massive. That's gotta give the rest of the teams thinking as well. There's the certain distance now in the overall leaderboard that's slowly being built up.
Yeah, we'll see what they can do in game 2. But so far, like you said, they're not just getting lucky. They're really winning their fights and they're winning them cleanly. And here, I think a very tricky early game hot drop. This is not a nice area to be fighting in this. Yeah, with so much verticality involved, and to stay clean in this. I feel like they might even close out that last Nigerian player as they leave. Good stuff from them, and hopefully something will continue. Because, like I said before, right, they were not on our cards. They were not on the favorite list for this tournament. But right now, they're looking mighty good.
They're looking amazing. Individual strength is one of the most important things, especially in a 14-team lobby where you have more space on edges. You can take isolated fights if you want to, more cleanly. And stuff like this is possible without having to worry about too many teams rotating into the western edge, even if it is a northern circle, which I haven't quite caught up until this point. But I think just judging by these positions, it might be relatively centralized, actually. Yeah. As we see Egypt again, the team that hasn't performed yet.
We'll keep our eyes on them. We'll keep our eyes peeled. But yeah, like you said, right, a little bit more space, and I respect it. I think, yes, in most games you would probably want to rotate at this point, but this is the first air angle, and sending a bit of a message to the Nigerian squad, telling them you have no right to be here, and we'll keep this spot, is absolutely understandable.
And I want to ask you this. Do you think 14-team lobby changes the rotation timing phase 1? Because I always thought phase 1 shouldn't matter as much more with less teams.
I don't think to a great deal. I think it changes sort of the dynamic, especially from phase 1 to 2, when space gets a little more restrictive. I think it really depends. It depends, because let's say you have 16 teams in the lobby, right? You'll have just a pretty evenly spread loot spot this distribution. With 14 teams, there might be a few gaps. You know, maybe there's no team between South Georgia Pole and Primorsk, and then suddenly that area changes completely. But other areas on the map, the timings might be exactly the same. So it really depends on how these teams are split across the map and how teams have space, because there might be some teams that have a lot of space because of 14 teams, but they like to play late. They like to play edge, right?
Easier rotation path in terms of but I think, yeah, might already be phase 3. I think I might agree on that one, though. Either way, South Africa, first team to rotate in, just west of Severny, obviously, through these little dips and craters towards the west side of the shooting range, and they will meet the first team, which is Madagascar, which I'm not quite sure which position they want to be taking. They obviously want to play the craters, but that might just be a phase too early, I gotta say. If the team rotates in behind them, through these southern, maybe even the plane, maybe even the crash plane position, I think they will have pretty good angles on them. So I'm hoping to see Madagascar spread out a little bit.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. And what you're saying is a big topic, right? Like how far split you want to be, how close do you want to be, and this is something that's really hard in these lobbies where you have very little experience of playing against the enemies. You might have all the experience in the world, but you don't know how the lobby is playing. You don't know, oh, will the Plains team have a ton of space because nobody else wants to be up there, or will they be busy with their neighbors? So all of those makes decisions very, very hard. Right now, that's not a decision being made. That's a player rotating into a taken compound, and this could be heating up here, but it's looking like South Africa has realized, and it's looking like they don't want any part of it.
No, there's too many players all around. If this was a single player, if it was only Shyboy, I think there's an argument to be made. They should breach this even. Because it's a pretty strong position in terms of holding everyone else back on the eastern side, and it gives you access towards the rest of the positions towards the western side as well. So I think just based off of how many players roll around, I think South Africa wants to do it, but then realized, wait, there's maybe one, maybe two players too many. But as I say that, I think they're breaching this. This is absurd. There's no way.
They're aggressive, and they like to play aggressive, and they said they never had a chance to play aggressive because they've never been on land, they've always been on high pitch, and now they do exactly what they do. Good, that doesn't much damage outside the window. This is quickly turning into a 2 versus 4, though. The rest of the players are arriving. He finds the first, but he has to do so much more here, Reverb.
Yes, he does. Second player up top as well. Reverb, what are you doing?
No!
That was 2! Oh my goodness, South Africa is destroying Ghana right now, and there should be no way in hell he gets all 3, but he does it anyway. The last player, he's trying to rotate off, but I think that happened too late, and he goes down as well. Spammer, the biggest fragger for that lineup, is the last one to fall in. Como, tell me, what the hell have we just witnessed?
What was that? He just runs up the stairs, gets a second he has no business getting, and turns it around for a third. That was absurd from Reverb, and that's exactly what they've been talking about. They've been telling us, we want to get aggressive, we don't want to play position, we don't want to play passive, we finally have a chance to actually take fights and be. There's not a whole lot going on in this house. There's not a whole lot of players peeking us. They get in there, 3 elims, yes, 1 gets stolen away, but like you said, big bunch of space and a bunch of confidence gathered for them.
Massive, this is massive. These are the types of fights you need. You don't need to take this fight. This was solely based off, let's gain some confidence. It wasn't even positionally a relevant position, right?
Yeah.
That was, I think, strategy-wise, there was almost no reason to breach that compound, except for, hey, we have to start this tournament. We know we're going to gain some confidence. We know we can take these guys. Yeah. Even though it's an experienced roster, they get right in, get the job done, and I mean, look where they are now. 3 frags, good position. I know they've got Egypt right on the corner. They just lost the player, but it's really going to matter much. That round is already
just walked up to this. Egypt on one side, we have Tunisia on the other, and now, or Morocco on the other, excuse me, and now Mali is trying to get in there as well. So this is becoming a very congested area very quickly here. And like we said, the house, yes, it's worth something. It might not mean the most things, but losing the ridge above the house might actually come back to bite them here a little bit, as Egypt has taken quite a lot of control coming out of that Saverni area.
Yeah, long distance in terms of scouting anyone towards that western side now. It's going to get a little bit troublesome for Egypt. Well, they do want to make it out, at least in terms of where do we really play, what are the other teams, how many players have they lost. I think that information might be lost in transition now with the position they have. But either way, I think Egypt set in a great spot. And two frags now is also, that's going to build up confidence after that disastrous first round. I'm just going to say like it is. It wouldn't be a disastrous round if it wouldn't be Egypt. But Egypt, they also, I mean, we talked to these guys as well. They want to be top 1 or nothing, essentially. So they need a better start now.
This might be the start to something. Out of the blue. They want to try and make it past Saverni, but little do they know there's multiple teams in here. The other side taken by Egypt as well. And yes, sure, they can breach there. They can hold out. They can maybe even save their car, but next circle they'll have to move, and they have plenty of players in their way here. Mali and Egypt holding down that area. As we watch Morocco, they were able to third-party that fight and able to pick up quite a few kills on their own edge, and now suddenly sitting in a pretty attractive compound here, Felix.
Yeah, pretty good actually hold. You can see the sidelines coming out from Marshall. He's got an overview of the entire, not only rotation part, but also these positions that could potentially still be played on the western side, but they are probably not going to let happen to be played. And that's kind of the play style we've seen coming out of Morocco in the practice games, in the scrims, even leading up to this tournament. And we know these guys well, obviously. Senkai, I mean, he's played PMGC. He's known in the scene. He's not just anyone. He's potentially the most famous player in the
left for the circle to close on in. They'll have to rethink what's going on now, but you can see these teams they're struggling. Djibouti is pulling on up Somalia. They thought they had some peace and quiet, but a big pull-up from the Djibouti boys, clearing this edge, instantly taking 2 frags, instantly making this quite hard for the Somalian squad. Just 2v4, held down from range as well. This is not going to be an edge to come in from. This is an edge where you're okay if you're the only team there. Sharing that space, fighting for that space, it's not going to be a fun time, Felix.
No, it's really not. There's another nade coming out. Somalia might be in a bit of trouble. They've found 2 frags on their own, but it's not enough just yet to really call that round a success. Not by any means. And Djibouti up with 4 western, northwestern edge even. That's still a good position that you can play off of, even deeper into that coastline. So they still got something to play off of. So this is an important fight. So I'm trying to say. Next nade goes in. Oh, that's a Kobe if I've ever seen one. Hits him straight in the head. And Ali, well, he falls to his knees.
Yeah, Al's already out of there. You can see that. But look at Egypt. They're taking more. They're taking the ridgeline for themselves. Util's coming out. He's over the top. Again, wants to close that one out. He doesn't wait for the rest of the squad to arrive. He doesn't want to wait for his team. He wants to close this here and now so they can continue playing the game. Remember, they have South Africa as well. They don't want to get pushed on. They don't want to get third-partied. They want to be aggressive here. And he's looking to take it. More nades to come. He knows exactly that the rock is what he's aiming for. It's a little overcooked, but maybe there's a second attempt. He comes back as well. They're trading throwables right now. There's a good chance he wins this. But so far, 0 support from the squad.
It's a really tough place to nade, and there's actually good nades coming back at it. I think he's going to push the might have almost found the angle just there, but again, he's made it back towards the tree, and the problem is now he tried it again, goes down! This is disastrous now! Egypt is back, the rest of them are rotating in through the car! Zuxi! Oh! He takes down every single player, I think. I think there might have been a shot in the distance as well coming in from his teammates. And I thought there were a little bit more stuff than was just shot. That looks like just
that's massive. That's space they gather. Something's going down on this western side. As you said, they would maybe play aggressively to clear their edge, and they are. Madagascar is not making it easy for them. They're trading knocks here. Lazy already down on his knees. Madagascar looking to get a res. Senkai with a bit of an off angle, but smoked off. This is not clean. This is not easy. And remember, Djibouti was just north of this. If they decide to third party, if they slot in here somewhere, both of these teams could be in absolute trouble.
Keep your eyes peeled on that mini-map. Do you know who's causing all that trouble? It's a single player, it's Senkai. He goes up, he goes down, he goes left, he goes right. He's everywhere at this point. And Morocco, just based off of one single player, which is Senkai, we talked about him, holds out an entire team. And now the rest of the cavalry arrives. They realize they've got Madagascar pinned against the backs of their blue zone, obviously. And the first nades are raining in. Marshall has to be careful though. After that first player, Pupu, actually the biggest frag off from Madagascar as well, has already been knocked down. He looks for the second one. Slay! He hits him! But the headshot is not.
There's one from the side though. Senkai picks it up. And Morocco is up to 9 elims right now. Djibouti not activating just yet. Staying quiet on that northern side. So there will be a bit of breathing room for the Moroccan squad. The hometown boys. 9 elims in the second game. On the leaderboard, Egypt flexing out of that Saverny area. They've cleared their ridgeline, but they have a whole team in the bunker to deal with. Senegal, they're looking to hold on to this, but how are they going to get out of here?
Yeah, that's. I mean, I don't see a way. I gotta be honest, I don't see a way. I think, especially with the Molotovs now that are raining in from Egypt, I think that's done and dusted. That the safe zone works perfectly against them. And look what the blue zone is. I mean, it's going to push them out eventually. Probably what Egypt has used most of their units now. I think that's a little bit free, but they've got some days between some players. But if you don't time them correctly, it may be an opportunity like that. For Senegal, to see these guys correct as well.
I think they have a chance. Like I said, expanded a lot of detail now, taking down the half HP. He had to fall away. The smoke does a whole lot of work, going just like that. One piece of utility is going to get the third around the corner. The cleanup, this should be the end.
Oh, they're going down.
And there is it. There it is in the kill feed on the live leaderboard. It is a clean sweep for Egypt, and they have something to say in this round as well. It's not just Morocco on the north, it's Egypt on the south, and that is exactly what we expect to come into this game.
Look at Morocco though. Senkai, he's not stopped farming these edges. It's a 2-man. It's not even a full 4-man, but they're playing like they would be. on their western edge. Now they have to be careful. There's a couple of shots raining in from the distance. But Senka, I don't think he's going to be impressed by this. I think he's going to keep going. I think he's going to keep trying to get these frags against Djibouti. And now the rest of it. I said cavalry beforehand, but I think that's literally what they are. It's raining in. Lazy takes him down with the car. Senka is there to potentially get the second one. There is no chance for anyone right now against Morocco as they head up to 12 frags. We said that first game was kind of underwhelming, even by their standards. This one definitely is.
No, absolutely not. They've come alive in this one, and they've cleared so much space on their edge. They could have sat in the compound the whole game, Felix. They could have sat in a winning compound, but they decide to flex on out. They decide to take control, and they do beautifully. Somalia solo in the shack in front of them. That's a matter of seconds until they clear that one out as well. They have the util now, and they have more than they could ever need. The only thing they have to be careful about is a third party coming in from range. One of the big teams, Egypt, potentially trying to flex on out and ruin their game. You can see them already there in the distance. Chroma with the car, he's already trying to find an angle. He's already trying to punish, but Morocco is well aware, and they're about to take this fight head on.
Look how much space they have. Morocco. They're not the only four-man team right now in this circle, but they might as well be. Look at how much space they have. They have the entire circle, and it is phase what is it? Phase 5, maybe phase 6? I don't even know at this point. It is way too early to have that much control. That is for sure. And Morocco is doing just perfectly fine. Look at this. I really like what Trona has done here. Yes, they're now Morocco, but he's got plenty of information to pull off. Maybe in an entry, Egypt isn't careful, or rather, who isn't careful? That first frag. I mean, trouble.
Trying to equip themselves for that fight. It's maybe not the final fight, but it's an absolutely massive one. Look at the nades coming in from range. They want to flush this out as fast as they can. They don't want this res to happen at all. So far, not closed out though. There is a chance for Succeed to get that res. It's a little bit far. It's fine for now, but I think they're going to get the flush at least, surely. From range coming in south. Out of the compound, but Morocco is saying no, we have all the angles in the world, and we are ready for you.
Oh yes. There's no way he's gonna lose this one. Of course he is. He's this guy. Third frag in his bag as they are just cleaning up this lobby, and it's all down to Egypt now to make a stand in this one and to stay up until this point and no further. They've done just that with 2 good entries. James goes down, and so does Senka.
Oh, that's big. That's big openings. That's a big, big bummer for the Moroccan squad. They haven't just dealt with the solo now, but Egypt has taken another advantage. Big angle for Marshall. He decides to make a decision with the car. He wants to get the I believe, to try and numbers. Well, he's actually made it there. The question is, can they push it? Can Egypt do anything about this? And I'm doubtful so far. Covering off the approach. 4 smokes from Marshall. He should be able to get into that shack. The only question is, can Egypt clear him out, or do they get held down by the combat player?
Zuxi needs to be able to cross, and he's just taking massive amounts of damage, but the smoke is kind of nice, and maybe if again rotates all the way through, he could get into nade and potentially Molotov range, and again it's I think he just went down! Carrying that left alive, that's standing, last player for Morocco, but it's not over yet, ladies and gentlemen, it is not over yet, 1v3. And if you've seen anything so far from Morocco, I think there's still a chance, still an argument to be had that Morocco is in the running for this one, even at this point.
Well played by Egypt. Making use of that tiny time that they have. They realize the res is going on, so he pulls up with the car. He doesn't care about the smoke, so he just flies on in again. Takes control of the game. They take the game by the horns, and now there is a 3 versus 1. Both of these teams, Felix, regardless of who wins this, have made an absolute statement this game. 13 and 16 elims. That is crazy, and that is exactly the sort of attitude and the results they want to come bringing out of this lobby.
Yes, not only this, but start off with as well. At 16 frags, 13 frags, are you really exiting this round thinking you're not going to be able to beat anyone? No, you're not. 16 frags, that's like at least 3 on everyone. Just picture yourself in a round like this. You're on land. This is one of the first rounds. You've got the players literally sitting right next to you. There's like a couple of meters distance, and you're just destroying them. That's got to give you confidence. And we said these 2 teams were going to be the big favorites. That it's going to be a 1v3, almost first round, obviously. But he gets cornered, and Egypt takes the second match of the day. What a performance coming out from both of the favorites. He had the African Esports Championship. And look at these guys smiling, rightfully so.
14 frags. It's absolutely insane for them to pick on up, and especially when it's against the big rival. It's against the big dogs from Morocco, so that's going to feel mighty good winning that fight. Because remember, yes, surely that was a 3-1 in the end, but it was a 4 versus 3. Morocco had 4 players up. There was every chance in the world for Morocco to take this, and Egypt overwhelming them must feel mighty good right now.
I think more than just mighty good. This is going to give them hope, because I know a lot of people said not only Morocco but Egypt, but I think there's still an argument to be made that maybe just based off of individual experience, we might put Morocco a little bit above Egypt, and I think a lot of these players said that as well going into this. But this one now, second match, you take down Morocco like that, even though Morocco controlled the entirety of the circuit, phase 5, phase 6, that's nuts.
Yeah, absolutely nuts. 24 points and 22 points, respectively, is absolutely insane. And this is the kind of scenario that we were looking at on paper, right? Egypt and Morocco, head and shoulders above the rest.
Yeah.
We didn't see that at all in game 1. We said it was an upset. We said it was crazy. Now we're going back to a little bit more of what we expected. But I think we're going to come back to that talking point, Egypt versus Morocco, plenty of times. Because there's so much to weigh up there.
Yeah.
And you say, rightfully so, more experience on the Moroccan squad maybe, especially at the top level. But then the more recent performances have been coming out of the Egypt squad, and there is a very tricky topic of how does that add up, and how do you balance those two versus each other. This game, Egypt, they were better.
As we are getting into that third match now of day 1 here, live from Casablanca, ladies and gentlemen, it is time.
Beautiful Erangel is what we are heading towards. Playing a little bit farther off to that eastern side. It is the Djibouti squad that we see in this plane right now. They're going to be jumping out towards the later stages. And, well, we'll see what they can show us. Consistency is absolute key, and we will see if they can stay consistent throughout the day.
Plane path coming in. Relatively fair, I'd say. Doesn't really favour anyone just yet. And Djibouti, I'd be surprised if they're not going to be the last ones jumping out here towards the western side. I think Saverni's, or these guys will be going for. And I think I might as well be mistaken. But I think actually the way the Java is flying here, I think they're going to split this towards the northeastern side of Stalba even. There was still 4 teams when we were close to Saverni in the plane. So I might be completely mistaken here. There's going to be potentially even a hot job, or at least some clashes around the cars coming in.
There's a potential for it. There's a bit of an effect sometimes in some of these lobbies where if enough teams like to stay in late in the plane, you get clumped up there. If a lot of teams like jumping out early to try and get the fastest timings, and that is a thing that can happen as well. Right now, we'll have a few teams towards that northern edge, a few more than you would normally see, a few teams you would normally used to. But here are the favorites. Here are the big boys, and this time uncontested in their Rozhok split.
Uncontested. Nija didn't want to get a hold of that compound. I can understand why. We said this before. I can very much understand why. And as a result of that, Morocco will have a little bit of a cleaner early game, I guess you could say. But I was clean last time as well, despite that hot job. But it's going to remain that team to watch. Egypt, we've talked about this, is able to grab themselves Pachinki, which is a massive, massive, massive advantage going into this lobby. And with the experience they have between the players, and even the split that they're going for right now, I talk about the car situation as well. Look how far that player from Egypt had to go towards the southern side of Pachinki now. I think it was Suksi. Yeah, Suksi to pick up that vehicle. Yes, that's kind of the only thing that can sometimes mess with your rotation timing, but I think that worked out beautifully. And good thing is you jump out of the middle of the plane path, it's not going to matter too much.
Exactly. You're never in a situation where you can't reach your loot spot. That just doesn't happen if you're a Pachinki team, right? That saves you a little bit of time. That saves you a little bit of adapting, having to adapt to different lobbies. And then, like you said, I think vehicles are a problem, but when you have the time to make up for it, you should usually be able to circumvent it and move your way around it. User, they are in Saverni, and they are sharing it with a South African squad that has surprised us a little bit last game, because they were coming to play, and they were rolling that compound.
Yeah, they were. South Africa with that one really aggressive push into the compound, northwestern side of Saverni that we've just seen. And then they got absolutely obviously shut down by Morocco and Egypt, but that's, I mean, kind of the worst position you could find yourself in potentially ever in this lobby, which is between Morocco and Egypt. Let's be honest. If you're between these two teams, one of which is going to close you out, and then afterwards, one of which is probably going to win the game as well. At least that's been the experience up until this point. Unless Mauritius obviously has something to say about this as well. It's going to be a tough hot drop for Niger, just obviously based off of where they're sitting right now. They're kind of surrounded. Can be an advantage sometimes, but I think in Zaverny, especially if you realize how far the crosses and the distance between the actual building blocks are, it's more of a disadvantage, I'd say. I mean, crossing towards the southern side, you're going to be seen. Crossing towards the church, even, you're going to be seen. And crossing the street towards the western side is almost impossible anyways.
It's also a question of, do you really want to be hot dropping, or do you want to try and get out of the hot drop? Because then vehicles become a big factor, and we've seen a vehicle there towards the northern side. I'm not sure who took control of the southern vehicle spawns, but it should be in the hands of South Africa. And well, it doesn't really matter how you can approach the fight if the other team doesn't want to fight you, right? And in that case, it's all about how fast can you disengage, what loot do you get beforehand, and how many vehicles you're getting yourself. Because if you're in a position where you have 4 guys in one car, that is a terrible setup coming into phase 1. And maybe that's where the thing we talked about earlier, a little bit more space on the map, 2 less teams, can actually come to save you, because you're just going to be able to find gaps more easily, find vehicles more easily, and rotate uncontested towards that phase 1.
Talking about uncontested, Zaverny sure as hell isn't, but it kind of feels like it, doesn't it? No moves have been made just yet, and I was talking about that church position. It's one of the most important ones. Up on church, obviously, is Reverb holding the cross. He needs to hold that cross as well. If anyone's able to get past it, he might find himself a nice light to only one, but even that is unlikely with the sightlines from the rest of the South African players. So I think it's going to come down to a stalemate. Thing is, when is that fight going to happen? Because it needs to eventually. There's no cars out of this one. Yep. And I'm just a little bit worried for both teams, because I think it's going to get messy. Unless South Africa dodges out of this, which they don't need to. They've got the advantage on this one right now. They're closer to the blue zone. They've got cars potentially. They've got the better sight lines. But unless they dodge, I'm worried.
I mean, what we saw there as well was a pretty good setup for South Africa. They have a player in the church, right, holding tons and tons of information, and they can expand on that west side of the road. They can realize, okay, we have tons of space here, and then suddenly there's no way out anymore for the squad in the north. So they can just close that out completely if they want to. The question is, like we said before, do they want to? They have cars. They could disengage. I wouldn't mind to grab the 4 kills here if I was South Africa, but the question is, how much do they know? We know that all these 4 players are in one building block, but if they don't know that 6 Squad can expand all the way on that western side, and they could even group up there and hold out all different approaches to get out of the city, if they don't know that, then it's a different situation for them than it is for us. We have the flying cam telling us where all these players are, so it's a little bit easier for us to say South Africa is at an advantage. But if they have any idea of how these players are structured, then I wouldn't mind at all for them to go for at least a few kills here. 3-4 points to start off the round is well worth it, even if you arrive really late.
I think they should. I'm going to put it out like that. I think they should. South Africa, if we've seen anything coming out of them last game, it means taking advantage of the fights you have advantages in. And it's not going to get easier than this.
No.
Like, realistically, from that point onwards now in phase 1 with that rotation timing from that entry, it's not going to get too much easier. So I'm hoping we're going to see these guys stick to the fight. And now that's interesting. That's something I didn't expect. I didn't have in my cards. Djibouti actually taking a similar rotation, north side of Zaverny. Maybe, just maybe. We'll see a mistake coming up Djibouti. Maybe they will go for this car. I don't think they are right now. I think they're realizing and reading this one correctly. There's a contest in there. And I think it looks kind of sus anyways, right? A car like that in Zaverny, they definitely know one team is there. Yeah. If that one hasn't been picked up by now, there's a contest.
Yeah, and there might have been some shots there in the distance as well, but even like you said, that position for that car is not something you really want to go for, even if they only have 2 buggies at the start. But I think they had 4 vehicles for the whole team, so you can kind of get away with having some buggies, and they should be able to pick themselves up vehicles that are in much safer positions, much less contested. This is another contest, though, on the other hand. This is South Georgia Pole, and this is Nigeria this time, not falling to Mauritius, but actually getting the first frag for themselves against the Senegal squad.
Good first pickup. They've been struggling in this position just last game. It's a quick turnaround here. met the coach Priest, obviously, in this lineup. Some of these guys, just last year in Yash, these guys have played LAN before, but it's definitely one of the more unproven lineups. Despite that, in this lobby, one of the underdogs, we've seen underdogs surprise, so I'm going to hope that's going to come true as well.
There's still plenty of chances for them to prove themselves and plenty of chances for them to get something going. But we're just going to hold our breath so much for these teams, right? We're hoping that a Mauritius can just blow us away. And so far, I think it's fair to say that they have. They haven't been as crazy as maybe Morocco, but they're really holding up the standards and they're really holding together here. They were with Egypt, I think 1 point apart on the leaderboard, even if it's only 2 games in.
The biggest question around this lineup now has to be, especially looking at the overall leaderboard, can they keep up that performance? And straight up, can they keep it up?
Listen, my heart says, please. My heart says, please surprise us. Please blow us away.
I mean, you're not winning with any answer anyways, because I'm betting there's going to be Mauritian players watching.
Yeah, I mean, of course, but that's what I'm saying. I'm torn, right? My heart says yes. My brain says most likely not. And yeah, it's a tricky one to answer, really.
You've been heartbroken before. I get that.
Please, let's not bring that up again. Please, moving on. Madagascar, take your shots. Beautiful.
He's not believing. I'm believing in Mauritius, though. Look, color me skeptical about your prediction. I'm believing. So, yeah, Mauritius Esports Federation, feel free to greet me every once in a while. I'm not sure why that.
Wow.
Anyways,
okay.
Yeah. Okay, enough of that.
What was that? Are you fishing for compliments at that point?
I am.
Okay.
I mean, I love these guys. I've talked to them. Plenty of nice players in this venue, but Mauritius obviously holds, with that performance especially, holds one of the top spots.
Yeah, and rightfully so. Madagascar might not be holding a top spot on the leaderboard, but they're holding a really, really strong compound in this phase 2 circles. Yeah. We see them popping off a few shots, but they are playing close together, power in numbers, not taking any risks. That is a very simple play style, and simple is beautiful sometimes. Nigeria, on the other hand, they have dissolved their hot drop. They have moved away from it, and they have now gotten themselves towards the northern George Pool area. South Africa, 4 kills, and that means they have closed out that hot drop in style.
Good stuff coming out from South Africa. Starting off very strong once more. And these aggressive moves, I said it before, I want to see it happen. It was a hard-fought one. You can tell by the HP bars on the right-hand side. That one will entirely go the way of South Africa. Not losing a player here. This is perfect news. Not only do you eliminate a team that is potentially contesting you again, if you don't finish the hot drop in the fashion that they just did, but also you have so much more space now than northern side. Look at that circle shift. I think it's still relatively centralized all around that river from west to east or east to west, however you might call that. But northern side should be, except for Djibouti, relatively clear. So that entry is definitely very much open for South Africa.
Yeah, and that's what I've been saying, right? It's like, sure, you're really late to the circle. You've missed out on every timing possible. But you've got 4 frags, and you've taken out a team right next to you. That opens up space. And like we said, 14-team lobby, a little bit more space on the map can help out in that regard as well. But I think regardless of circle position, regardless of timing right now, 4 frags, the start of the game is massive. That's going to feel good, and that's a big step on the scoreboard. Remember, we were going crazy about a 12-kill win in the last round. They've already gone a third of the way there, so 4 kills, absolutely. You take that any day of the week.
Well, let's not get ahead of ourselves. I think for South Africa, it will be more of an upset to give. Would it be more of an upset? Actually, yes. I wanted to kind of roll back, but actually, now that I say it, it would be more of an upset for them to take home 12, maybe even 13, 14 flags as a comparison to Egypt that we see rotating into the distance, now coming from the eastern side. And I said it was going to be somewhat centralized around that river area. I like to say I'm mistaken. I think there's way more potential now for a northern shift, and I think it's almost probably like 80% by now. Yeah. It's definitely going to end up north.
This is a northern circle, and this is why we see teams contesting for these northern areas, but we also see teams contesting for the crossings, right? The choke points, the bottlenecks, and here we have Mauritius versus Tunisia. And what is that? Oh, that's an absolute heat seeker. Yeah, that's a beautiful nade.
That's no way that was a nade.
Beautiful nade coming on in. And that clears out the building. Faker, no chance. That's a bit of a team nade coming out. You hate to see it if you're Tunisia. But you've done the job at this point. You've cleared out the building. You've cleared the compound. If you keep your cars now, you do have to keep your cars. you should be able to play out of here. But look at the minimap, right? Angles,
Ooh.
all for Mauritius right now. And that man's going in.
Okay, Mauritius doesn't want to let Faker die without anything being done in return. And you can see Paradex now entering that front side of the building. He's got nade in hand. Everyone has just thrown nades at this point. And honestly, that should give the advantage to Mauritius. No one being up top is going to deny that first initial nade to hit anything of relevancy. And that means it's going to remain on a 3-on-3. There's still a knock on the Tunisian side. Unfortunately, that was no knock. Now that it comes in, I think it's not going to pop perfectly. That second one does, though, as Hammer goes down. And now it's just 3 players left standing. Mauritius, they do not want to go out without a fight.
No, they're blowing this building up right now. Molly comes on in. There's so much damage being dealt. The Tunisian players, they're dodging and weaving. They still haven't even gotten their flush just yet. Mauritius already up to 2. They're clearing the stairs now. This is looking disgusting for the Molly. Paradox, beautiful stuff up the stairs. They're closing this one out. They're taking it in their own hands, but the fights are not clear, Felix. What is going on?
Oh, I think it's down to just one player. I think it's just Paradox left now. But Mauritius has gotten huge casualties too, and they will somehow still do it. Mauritius goes down, but not without a massive, massive fight. And I can only applaud them at this point. I mean, going back into a clear 4-on-4, 3-on-4 even, after that first initial knock is massive.
Yeah, but Tunisia's going out. Tunisia they got the res, Felix, but they went out to the blue zone.
It was phase 4.
They couldn't heal in time.
No way.
Oh, they try to get the res, they try to get the heal off, but it's not enough. Tunisia 4, Mauritius 3. They both fall short, and yes, it's a crazy fight coming out. It's some crazy individual plays for either of these two teams, but it's not going to bring them anywhere when their game ends right here.
No, but it's still 3 good points being picked up, 4 good points for Tunisia. But I think for Tunisia, with some of these players having played in PMP Africa, it's going to be more of a banner than for Mauritius. They've done their fair share of work already in the first 2 games. Tunisia really hasn't, right? They needed a big round now. They need to get some big points on the board, but this one has not been it. 4 points only, unfortunately. But a good fight nonetheless. That was quite an exciting start into that first initial sequence at the African Esports Championship. A quick frag being picked up by Six God. That's a good pickup against Somalia. And there's more players now in the distance that are potentially being engaged.
Yeah, but they have a different fight on their backlines. Look at the minimap. There's another team just right over the shoulder, and that's the problem in this. They've gotten 2 players knocked. They're trying to get them back on their feet. I think they're up to at least 3 members now, but they have to be really careful. Somalia disengaging is going to buy them a little bit of time, but I say that it's just a short reposition, and they have to get out of here. The circle's on their back. They have got other teams to worry about. So Sally is going to put him in the car, and he's going to try to drive to any safety they can find. But I'm not sure if they'll stay here with 4 alive. This is a tricky risk to get.
Yeah, I think it's really tricky. They're going to try their best. Obviously, Somalia always up for some underdog story as well. Hulk talked to him before the game started. Definitely one of the strongest ruggers in this lineup as well. Super, super creative personality. Just an all-around really solid play. I'm going to hope these guys pick up some more frags up towards the northern side. And I said it early, South Africa, they cleared out 1 team already with that first initial hot drop. Yeah. Now it's just essentially 2 teams left to potentially get access to Circle Center. Maybe not even, depending on if Somalia rotates back towards the western side. We have Kenya now first of all, being approached by Morocco. First couple of shots went down. Morocco does not want to let this stand. And now Lazy is looking for the shots. B19 hand, S12K on the other side. Shots back and forth, but he will fall down. And it is Morocco once more, just cleaning up these edges. They're not scared of anything.
It's another one of those fights. They don't have to take it. They don't need to take it, but they want to take it. Morocco, first kill on the board for them. They've been quiet in the compound. They've been hoping the fight comes to them. It didn't happen, so they bring the fight. Unfortunate, if you're on the other end of it, Kenya just down to a single member now, proning it out, trying to survive, somehow hiding away. But that is the Morocco we have seen in the last game, and that's the Morocco we love to see. Somalia, they're in trouble on that northern side. We see plenty of teams rotating on around them. Djibouti is the one that's bringing the pain for now, but Glitch, he has so much to deal with, and they have so many angles to worry about. They might stay alive here, but for how long, I'm not sure.
Look at how many teams are approaching on this one. Every team knows now, with so much third-party potential, they got to use it. There's no reason to not third-party right now. You're not coexisting in an open field ending like this, or rather, in an open forest ending. I mean, there's still plenty of open space in the middle of it, but at least towards the northern side, there's still some playable area, but not if you coexist, and that's the part now. Every one of these teams will need to find the correct timing in approaching everyone else. Right? Djibouti has to. South Africa has to, and they're already doing that right now. Somalia has to. But as of right now, it looks like everyone has been kind of damaged or lost a player to some degree already. And the only really teams that are left standing as 4 men are all down south.
I love the reposition we saw from Djibouti right there. They are going right back into it from a bit of a safer angle, a bit of an easy angle. South Africa down to 1, up to 7 elims at least. We saw them in the northeastern side, and just like that, it's Madagascar closing things out. They push themselves up to 4, and they take a bit of control on their side. And they're going to be happy to know that Djibouti is actually going away from this, because there was a chance for a third party there. There was a chance to get held out of the circle. But like you said, everybody has to worry about these third parties, and Djibouti's doing that right now.
I like what Djibouti is doing with the cars as well, making sure they use it to the best abilities. If you have like kind of a downhill playing area on both sides, right? You have this big hill, but there's barely any plateau. So that means you're going to be really hard to get shot out if you use the correct cars, if you're driving like on the side of a hill. So that means they're going to be more effective in terms of scouting. You can cover ground more easily. So using these vehicles, I really like what Djibouti is doing here. Kind of traveling around all these players, realizing how much space is everyone taking, what kind of positions can we take in the next phase. So Djibouti really playing smart here on that northern side. But the big fight, that's going to happen on the southern part now. Egypt is rotating on in. Morocco is closing down the distance. 3 players still towards the southern side of the street with barely any playable area. That goes to show you they're going to engage soon.
We'll have to see what Egypt wants to do with this. They've got Zuxi completely stuck there. He's up against 3 Mali players, and they want to help, but they've got to worry about Kenya in their backlines. They've got to worry about Morocco on their doorstep. So a tricky fight for everybody to take. Mohamed comes down towards the bottom side of the bridge, but how far can he go? How far can he step without actually getting taken out of the equation? So much damage is coming in from multiple angles. There's Ghana as well from distance that lets it rip. And yes, big fight, big teams, but I feel like Egypt is so crunched here, Alex.
Yeah, I mean, not necessarily. I mean, I'm saying yes, but not necessarily. I mean, their positions are still the best in the circle out of all these southern time teams, and we know that, but they don't. No one's up towards the northern side. No one is going to third-party them anytime soon. I think even Shy Boy and the rest of the gang up towards the eastern side, they're not going to close the distance anytime soon. By the looks of it, they're not trying to either. So I think Egypt is going to be fine for now.
Knock comes in, though. Angle was found onto Krona, and that's a bit of trouble now. You can see, again, wants to go for it, wants to figure out where to end this, where to stay with his car. Smokes have to come out. Some sort of cover has to be made, but Morocco is not waiting around. Morocco is going for this, and this is the aggression we've seen them take time and time again. The nades are coming out. Morocco is coming in. And if you're Mali right now, you're sweating, but do they know about Zuxi?
I'm not sure they know. Zuxi peeks around the corner. There's a couple of nades going back at him, and I think one, it might just be right below his feet. They have to be careful, Morocco. They're not trying to focus on Egypt too much. First nade comes in, but Senkai's knocked as well. Lazy goes down. Morocco's falling apart. This might be disastrous for them, this entire fight. Marsha doesn't realize it either. Zuxi's taking down every single one, and it's just Carryman left alive, and now the cavalry arrives. Mohammed crossed the street. He gets taken down, though. How is this falling apart for both teams now?
Oh, this is the messiest of messes. Zuxi, the one who started all, the one who took this into his own hand. Now he's the one standing. He's trying to close this out. He's got a bit of support, and he does take it. Zuxi says goodbye. Morocco, you're in the hometown, but we're in the driver's seat right now. They want to get that res, and if they stand versus Mali here, they have a big game ahead of them.
What a performance, Egypt. I was talking about timing up towards the northern side, but this timing is just as important. And Egypt nails it perfectly. Yes, 2 plays have been lost, but that's direct competition. That's fine in my books. This is strategy that came into play here. They realized that was Morocco. They realized 2 players got taken down. They realized they couldn't bring that player back towards the northern side. I think it was Zuxi who was kind of trapped there, and he realized 2 players right in front of me. I need to make this happen. And then after the first initial knocks came, they realized, wait, we actually have a chance in this.
Yeah.
Zuxi is not left on his own.
Yeah.
We can still support him and win that team fight, and they did. Great performance coming out from Egypt.
Rough to lose Mohamed there, but in the greater scheme of things, you take those. And like you said, right, Zuxi completely stuck there, but he opens the door wide. He makes a massive play by himself, and that closes out the fight versus one of the most important opponents in the lobby. 6 teams alive, 15 players. Ghana is just barely starting to come out of their compound. They've had a very chill game on their eastern edge, while the north has been absolutely slaughtering each other. And the south, well, you've just seen for yourself. The south has been Egypt, Morocco, going absolutely ham at it.
Fights all around. And due to the nature of, obviously, PUBG, we missed quite a few fights up here. But it is Madagascar coming out on top. Pew Pew, the strongest trigger. At least that's what these guys have told me in their lineup. Quite confident going into these games here, obviously, with Madagascar being one of the underdogs as well. That was just a tiny bit surprising to me. But hey, Frags, the one team that made it out alive, on an arguably even tougher zone than down south with Mali and Egypt is quite an accomplishment already.
It's a good start. They'll have to really consolidate here. They're not in a great position when it comes to the greatest schemes of this game. The downhill much preferable for most of these teams. You can look over while still safely in cover, but all these teams on the downhill, they're quite busy with each other. Now, Pew Pew, you said it, one of the strongest fraggers for already this game. And this is a move they don't want to let happen. This is a move they don't want to allow. Again, it's going up the hillsides. He's trying to grab an angle. He's trying to recreate what they've been able to do last game. But I don't think he has long lived on that western side. But you can just tell, just watch these players, and you can see the amount of pressure that has just come into that squad just because of, again, driving up there and pretending like he can get an angle on them. It's just completely shifted their game, and it's taken all of the tempo out of that Madagascar squad.
Yeah, you can tell. They shouldn't be scared about this, but they are.
Yeah.
Obviously, we've got way more information than they do, but still. Next fight is coming up, though. Mali has unfortunately gotten the first knock down. Hassan has dropped almost into the water as Nel has gotten that one. Shaibo and Nel now the two players that need to somehow survive this edge. Nel, he's got some shots back and forth, but he hasn't been able to secure a knock just yet. He's getting shot down almost again. He sees that one player swing. I think there's a possibility now that Ghana could still turn this around against Mali. But Mali's still 4 players up. None of the players have been finished. Yes, one knock, but I don't think they can overextend just yet. But now that's Egypt coming in as well. This is such a dangerous fight now, and maybe even Madagascar could come into this as well. This could be a full party fight.
Yeah, and you can see that Nel, he's got the position where he can actually do anything about it. His teammates, much less so. They have to be way more careful. But the landing nades on such a high incline is super hard. No heals, though, on Momo. No throwables. All he has is smokes to work with. He's trying to smoke off the opponent right now because he can't heal and he can't have any lethals. So, tough times for the Mali squad, but they've been surviving for so long here in this position, and it's always felt suboptimal, it's always felt hard, but they've been clinging to life.
I really like what Ghana did there. Remember the start of this fight, Ghana being 2 players stuck at the edge. Mali had the opportunity to take one down to get into this late fight as the only team with 4 players alive, but Ghana fell back. They used their utility, they used the smokes. They also made sure that, yes, this is not the ending fight. Yes, it's a good fight, but this is not the only fight we need to take. If we take this, we have to be 100% sure that we're winning the game as well. So they took 2 players, got them back towards the eastern and center of the circle to realize and also solidify their positions out of the circle, make sure no one is able to push them. Oh, what a pickup by Nel now, as Mali somehow still has to fight this. I thought they would have plenty of space towards that south and eastern edge, but look at Egypt, they're rotating around as well.
Yeah, and neither of these teams has any resources to work with. Nel, 6 bullets in the M4, no throwable. What a nade from Spammer. Okay. And this is where that util comes on in. This is where you love to have a nade. Now they're trying to close this out. The UMP, the AK are going to have to do the trick. They're walking up close. Damage is being exchanged, though. It's not a clean wipe just yet. It's not even a knock-on to finish. He's got the DBS in hand, but he does not know. Nel takes out another. And right now, Ghana is staying clear in this. That's it. I said it. I jinxed it. Spammer knocked and flushed. That's bad news for them. And
that's bad news for Egypt as well. I think Madagascar just opened up that fight. They realized with that fight going on, they have all the space they need to potentially solidify their positions inside the center circle. But they rotated in. I think Egypt was able to fend off 2 players at the same time. I think that was a 1v2 coming out from Egypt. And again, especially in the center of the circle. And that's going to leave it down to a 2v1v1. No, excuse me, a 3v1v1 with Ghana obviously being the clear favorites in this one. 3 players now left standing. And they've already secured 5 frags. This could be the first big round for Ghana by the looks of it. And they've got everything they need.
This is theirs to lose. But it was Madagascar's to lose just a second ago. And they've been stopped again with the Famas. I think he picks up at least 3 there, Felix. They had 4 4-man roster to try and clear out Egypt. But it's again who comes out on top. Does he know where the last players are? I don't think quite so. But he's trying to find out. And, oh, that's a Ghanaian player knock. This is getting dicey, and he's got a Famas as well. I'm not surprised if he takes more out of this.
You can see that Morocco and Egypt are just playing different in this lobby. They're making so many plays they wouldn't be otherwise in like a big international lobby because they know we've got the advantage going into this. We've got the confidence as well. Who else will drive around the center circle like that in a 1-on-3 and actually be able to pick up someone else? Again, once more, he takes down Madagascar all by his own. 1v3 essentially from the very start of this fight until now. And it's just 2 players between him and the big dream overtaking Morocco on the overall leaderboard. It all becomes very possible now.
7 nades in his inventory, level 3 gear. Remember, Nell, he had 6 bullets in his M4. It's just such an uneven battle. Yes, they got power in numbers, and yes, that's absolutely massive. But this is one of the most winnable 1v2s I have ever seen, especially with the confidence he's been showing right now. He's got the cover now. They want to close this out, but this could come back to bite them. He is stuck to a tree. It's so many nades in his inventory. He can do this easily.
Yeah, he can. And look at this. There's no nades to be thrown back by Ghana. They're out of everything. They've got no smokes. They've got no nades. This all becomes very possible. First nades hits. Look, Ghana is scared of this one. They don't want to peek this ridge line. They realize that Ghana is taking down almost every single one in this late game. They do not want to peek him whatsoever. And just like that, they can let the Blue Zone do their work.
32 bullets for Shaibo. Trying to hit the prone. He's hoping to catch a player walking into the open. The circle is closing pretty much in between them here. It's a little favored for Ghana, and once again, they are still 2 up. But can you really say they're 2 up when Nell can't even heal himself back up to full HP? The man's been on 50 or less for just the last 5 minutes or so. The nades are a little bit close for MVP. He's looking, he's fishing, but Alex, if he just finds one, and he does, in Egypt, no absolute way that you're doing this, but level 3 gear of Famas, you almost have to give it to him at this point.
And he takes him down. Famas in hand. What have we just seen? Egypt, what a clutch coming out from them. And we said they were the second favorites going into this tournament, but a round like that from again, I think he took down 5 or 6 players at that point. Unbelievable scenes here at the Iesf African Championship. And I mean, we said there's going to be some experienced players going into this one. But putting out clutches like that, offline, in LAN, one of the first games these guys have played, that's a different story. That's an entirely different story. Again, got to be the MVP of this one.
Oh, of course. And
unbelievable.
I think like he just takes out a 3-man that's breaching him, and then he just cleans up the rest of the lobby as well, right? It's not just the solo. It's not just the last Madagascar member. He cleans up the 1v2 as well, and that is crazy stuff. And Dido, and once again, we'll see what the players are bringing. We'll see what's on the card. It's another fair plane. It's another fair shot. And it's another winner emerging just here in a couple of minutes.
Ladies and gentlemen, $25,000 up for grabs. It's still about who takes the top 2 spots here at the Iesf African Esports Championship 2024. One of the first of its kind here in the African continent, as Iesf is putting that entire region on the map. A very overlooked region, as the Kenyan players have told me, and to be honest, I knew that before going into this tournament anyways. Such a history-rich, not only in esports, but just generally history-rich countries that are competing here to go to Riyadh later this year. And, well, I want to say it's still up for grabs for absolutely anyone, but then again, the favorites so far have come true, and I don't want to get too far into the prediction just yet, but we've seen it time and time again in the regional qualifiers as well, in different regions, like we're talking Europe, we're talking Asia and Oceania. Yeah, the favorites have performed. Question only is there someone that can maybe get their foot in the door?
It's what we're hoping for. We as casters, we hope to keep it close, and we're hoping that something like this can happen.
It happened in Europe.
Exactly. We are not sure how well that's going to go, but that's something that I think is very easy to forget. This is a regional qualifier in the end. We're only sending 2 of these squads to Riyadh, and we've talked about it. Yes, there's money for 3rd place. That's very nice, and there's a lot of honor attached to that as well. But the big bag everyone's going for is that ticket to Riyadh, and there's going to be a lot of teams that are going to be very disappointed at the end of this event. But I think then looking back on it, they'll realize that this was a crazy experience, and we always had to send 12 of them home. We were never able to bring more of them to Riyadh, and it's just the nature of the game that a lot of these teams will not get what they've came here to do.
Yeah. Morocco has, as we said, same thing goes for Egypt, has definitely come here to win it. Everything that we've seen so far from the gameplay style has been kind of shown us that as well. Super aggressive, not scared whatsoever, no matter the enemy, not even Egypt. And then Egypt has shown us the exact same. And look, I know we always talk about favorites going into these types of tournaments, but I still think LAN, first of all, is kind of the first factor that we've got to calculate in and on why a team could play differently to what we expected, no matter the experience. Because I've seen super strong favorites go to LAN and suddenly they switch it up. They play overly safe because they feel like we're determined to win it. So let's actually grab the win. and not be playing as freely and having fun as much as Morocco and Egypt are doing right now, because they're driving around, they're picking up fights, they're picking up solos, they're driving to their cars, things that you'd be punished for in a different lobby, I think, even more so, especially some of these players having played PMGC. In a lobby like that wouldn't be possible. You'd be punished for it so incredibly fast. But this time around, adjusting to that is a skill set on its own. And Morocco and Egypt so far have done that perfectly. So the favorites are actually playing as favorites.
And it's a topic every single time. It's how does the lobby change,
Never
right?
ends.
And how do the other teams react, and how do you react to that? And in the end, you can blame the LAN environment. You can say, well, we didn't know what the other teams were doing because they don't know what they're doing. You have plenty of excuses there. You have plenty of reasons to underperform.
Yeah.
But the best players usually tend to get away with it. The best players do perform no matter the scenario. And that's the beauty of a Battle Royale. I feel like if you're good at a Battle Royale, then you're good at adapting to the circles. You're good at adapting to the loot you're getting. You're good at adapting to what the other teams are doing. And the good players do show us that most of the time.
Most of the time. If you've seen the Europe qualifier on who went to Riyadh, I think there's been some upsets in there. It's definitely been favorites that qualified, yes, but there's been so many favorites that we also have big underperforming teams. I was talking about Moldova during that qualifier, for example. So I think the same could be happening to some of these countries here, obviously going into this. These African countries and regions that might be overlooked, that might be underestimated as well. And for example, Kenya, for example, Mali, for example, Ghana, or Senegal even, these guys have shown us, even now already, how well they can frag and how overlooked their region already is.
Yeah.
So I want to see more, and I want to see that maybe even happen as well, where maybe a team of the favorites, falls off for a little bit and kind of opens that opportunity for the rest of the teams to take their spot. And so far it's been Mauritius. I have a feeling they're not going to be the only team having at least somewhat of a chance, even after the first day. Because I don't see Morocco and Egypt now winning the next couple of games. Not with how Egypt has been playing and focusing Morocco as well.
We'll see. We'll see. I was getting excited for Madagascar winning the last one, and then suddenly Egypt happened, and that whole game was just stolen away. I think no right for Egypt, for the duo to win that, but they just showed everybody what they can do, and they showed everybody that they think they're better than Lobby, and they play like they're better than the Lobby. And sometimes that can go really, really well, and again, really pulled it off in the last one. Djibouti, a team very much to my liking, looting late, looting edge, will make their way in from Zaki. They've had some success on these northern shifts, but not consistently enough to be competing with the top. But honestly, right now, competing with these top 2, top 3 teams is incredibly hard just because of how crazy they've gone. Yeah,
but Djibouti, I kind of want to highlight them too. They've been consistently getting into great spots where they can just farm edge. And yes, the fights haven't been as consistent, but I feel like they're always in the right kind of spot. And that's if you've got that going for you, that is most of the times the one team that maybe has a chance of qualifying as well outside of the clear favorites in terms of fighting. And obviously, the fighting teams right now are Egypt and Morocco. There's no doubt about it anymore. Maybe there was a tiny bit of doubt after the first one because, as we said, it's LAN. You can never kind of predict how teams play. Obviously, there's the daily form as well. Some might start off strong, others might not. But in this one, I think they've already proven that just based off of the way they play and mechanical skill-wise, they are in a not league in their own, but they're definitely above everyone else. And the same obviously needs to happen for more teams now. There's a little bit of a difference now, things like 10, 15 points up towards the qualification spots for Mauritius. So this one is also going to be quite important in that regard.
You don't want to let the gap grow. You don't want to let the gap exist, especially coming into day 2. And as we're having a bit of a look at Niger, a team with the only female player in the lobby. And this is something that we will keep an eye out for, because this is not something we see every day. And this is not something that we used to see in, but the African region provides.
Got to be one of the most interesting storylines here. And I hope we get to speak to her a little bit more later. But yeah, I think the first female player as well, as far as I know, and as far as she knows as well, the only female player so far that has played in any Iesf PUBG Mobile competitions on LAN. So nuts, really, really good stuff. As we have the first couple of fights kicking off, it is Tunisia holding down the bridge. It's a bridge camp that unfortunately kind of got sprung a little bit too early.
Yeah, that's a little early. You would expect him to let the first car through, and then his teammates can take care of that first car. Yeah. He's taking fire towards further enemies further down the line. But now Malone is going to be running for his life, going for the southern cross, hopefully picked up by a teammate. As this is shots, they're not easy to land. The prone is going to help with the recoil a little bit, but if he nails that, I'll be screaming. There's 2 shots, and as expected, just a little bit too hard. Distance is a little bit too high. And Tunisia with a good idea and a good approach, but they spring it a little bit too early. They execute a little bit flawed.
Yeah, that could have been a great opening for them. Tunisia needed that as well, but at least, ooh, he almost hit the flip. Tunisia is going to get some star points from my side. He's unfortunately not flipped his car, though. That's something that, you know, happens every once in a while as well. We've all been the victim of it. Let's not talk about my driving skill. I was the first one to send my fucking car down the river. And, I mean, I'm not the last one. Last time I played, that happened as well. Even the scrims just yesterday, where I was fortunate enough to play a couple of minutes as well. Either way, Madagascar, though, coming into that centralized northwestern side of things, too. And they also having a big task ahead of them. But they've also shown us, Pew especially, that these guys can frag.
Good signs of life, good signs of consistency when it comes to the fighting, especially when you look at what do you want to see from a team. You want to see that they're able to take the fight to some of these big names. And if they can't do that, getting into positions is not going to help you all that much. Now, circle has shifted, and Madagascar realized maybe we don't want this. Maybe we don't want to be breaching this compound. Carryman is going to bring out a few shots, going to do a lot of damage to the car, to the player, and he actually does get the knock. That's Pew as well. We've been singing his praises, Falix, but he's out of the lobby. He's one of the first players to be there.
Carryman is going to pick him up. That's the first frag on the board for Morocco. And look who else is above there. Look who else is up there. Egypt as well with the first frag of the round. I think that happened just before Morocco, actually. So Morocco
almost at the same time,
yeah, almost at the same time. Second team to pick up a frag. But once again, the favorites making sure that they're finding some frags in rotation as well. This is a very unusual spot that I don't see Morocco in, really. I'm really surprised they're going to play this as a 4-man. This is a good spot. It's a massive spot. But you kind of want to split this, right? You've got the yellows in front of you. You get the forest area towards the west side, which is always a good spot to play. And you can kind of dodge away from quite early because you're going to see everyone arriving relatively soon. And even the open field dips, right? The next dips over between that compound and the liquid compound are super strong. So I'm expecting Morocco to kind of branch out a little bit more, even this phase.
Likewise, expecting them to grab a bit more space, but they've been sort of slow in these first few circles and then just realizing what's happening around them and exploding onto it. So maybe this is one of the circles where they just want to let people maybe take space around them and then punish the weaknesses, right? Let people spread far and thin because they feel like they have no pressure, and then suddenly you bring some explosive pushes towards them. Now, these are 2 teams we've talked plenty about because they have gotten our hopes up on the Sanok. They've gotten our hopes up on Game 2 as well. And they are in a bit of dangerous water here towards that northern side because it's not only them 2, it's 3 teams in that whole area, and everybody's trying to find a nice entry.
Yeah. Mauritius now navigating their way around that northern side. It's not an easy zone to kind of navigate around, especially on the northern side of, obviously, this time around, Georgia Pole. But that's at least been their entry. It looks like they've kind of found their way around, and now there's
they're going for this
side of Yaz. This look, I was thinking that for a second. There's no way this is going to happen again. But Mauritius, they're going to breach this. Djibouti has already lost the first play, and they're split really far in this compound. Jabba has to bring things back. He gets shut down instead, though, and that means Djibouti's down to 2.
Oh, it's an absolute disaster for the squad. They were holding this compound. They just had a team rotating around them, and suddenly it's all fallen by the wayside. Jabba down as well. It's just King Kilwa trying to disengage from this, and just like that, in a matter of seconds, like this game's falling apart, and I don't even know if he's going to get out of this alive with multiple players on multiple angles here. This is a convincing pull-up from Mauritius, not something I expected from them. They were looking like they were rotating past, but they see weakness, they get a knock, and they get the hell in there.
Well, you're saying not expected. I got to disagree heavily. We've seen this in the last game as well. They backed that first game off with another aggressive early game, and the third one as well. Even though that didn't work the game before, at least in terms of the grand picture of the round, they're still going to continue doing it. And that's what I like. That just shows confidence is through the roof for Mauritius right now, and that's we keep on saying, and it sounds cliche to some degree, that the first round is so important, but Mauritius is showing us exactly why. That wouldn't have happened otherwise. These 3 points would not be on the board as convincingly as they are. But let's over to another fight as Tunisia is breaching Kenya right now. Two very big countries in terms of Pubgm Mobile experience. Nade in hand, Don gets taken down. What a jump from Jay. What a jump from Jay. I was told he was the biggest fragger on that team, and I think that might just ring through.
He's got to bring it back. He has got lots of angles to deal with. Jumps past one of them. The shotgun in hand. He can close this out. The shots are connecting.
Oh,
He's
okay.
found one. He's found the flush as well.
Wow.
And he's making this so costly now for the Tunisian squad. The third party's here as well. Egypt is knocking on the door. And oh my, he's done the damage. But he might not be the one reaping all the rewards here.
I think there's going to be some frags stolen at least. Nate comes in. Zuxi takes him down. And that's Egypt pulling up once more. As they take home the 7th elimination, Zuxi is just plowing through this lobby. He's going from fight to fight to fight, and he picks up every single one. We saw this in the previous games as well. Zuxi seems to be the entry figure for his team, and he seems to have done quite a good job of that in the last 3 rounds. This is obviously the 2 best Egyptian teams with a mix of them. So, not only like the first best team in Egypt, but they've also taken the best players out of the second one as well. So, I mean, at this point, obviously these guys are going to frag, right? With such a incredibly strong PUBG Mobile region as well from that African country. And there's more to be said, though, as Somalia is rotating into the northern side.
Taking it slow, taking their time. Quite the opposite of what we've seen some of these teams do right there and then. We see a lot of early aggression. A lot of early plays for big compounds, sometimes just for kills, it feels like we said, right? Remember the South African pull-up in game number 2, Reverse getting himself a nice little 1v3 in a building. Some of these teams seem to just be looking for the fights. Let's just be looking for the frags. And the other side, you have teams like Egypt, super calculated. They're going into that fight when they see blood, when they see knocks on both sides, they realize, oh my god, the solo is actually doing something. Kenya is actually hurting Tunisia here. They go in, they clean up all the rest. And just like that, they're up to 7 Edams.
Massive stuff. Morocco on the other side has to be left wondering in that compound whether or not they should have done more with this step phase. They're going to see Egypt in the kill feed.
Yeah.
And be like, how are these guys finding these frags? But they're looking for it. And
yeah.
Morocco this time, for the first time as well, are not. They're staying in that compound. They're not splitting anything. The dips on that northwestern side, you can see the right here, the left side of your building, left side of your screen are still very much clear. So they could pick this up. The eastern dips are clear. And that little forest hillside. So plenty of sits to be taken. This is very unusual right now for Morocco. And we said things might just change a tiny bit with Egypt and that massive win now last game. I think this is kind of a symptom of it.
I hope this is not something we're going to see throughout all the games. I hope they do get a little bit more aggression and confidence back. But I can see where they're coming from, right? They've been punished for aggression, like we said. Now they're playing it more slowly, more carefully. I would have expected, if they're 4-man playing this compound, that they maybe hide on out. They maybe just don't peek at all, and they hope somebody gives them a free kill by driving in. But they're not doing that either. They're just holding down the compound. They're holding solid, and they're not taking any risks. Zuxi right now, we talked plenty about him. He said he's the entry fragger. He's the performer. 5 elims at this stage of the game is absolutely mental. And yes, he's gotten a bit banged up. He's got a level 1 vest, but man, he's been putting out numbers.
And he's got his entire backpack full of utility.
Yeah.
I mean, what's more scary now than someone with that much skill and with that much confidence in a lobby like this, driving around in a buggy and having 4 nades, 6 smokes? You're not going to be able to take this guy down easily. More nades are coming now in. Mauritius has made their way in through Yaz. I said earlier, I think that their initial entry in phase 1 was something towards the Georgia Pool region, but I'm not mistaken. I'm going to take a look back and see. This has been quite the far wrap then for them. And now find themselves in the northeastern side of things. But now that I say it, I think they actually entered through Severny, now that I'm looking back at it. Unless I thought I saw something when the original plane published, but yeah, he's disagreeing with me, so I think they must have stuck to Severny this time around as well, which makes sense. But the point I'm trying to make is South Africa against Mauritius. We've seen this before as well, and this time around it's going to happen inside a city again. So Mauritius now with a big task ahead of them. South Africa, at least in terms of fighting and aggression, has shown us that they're very much capable of even taking out Mauritius at this stage.
Yeah, and they're in a good position to do so. And I'm not loving this if I'm Mauritius. They have the edge of the city, sure, but they will always be eliminated out of the circle before South Africa. And South Africa has the more high ground, the more vision, the power positions in their hands. So Mauritius, they either have to do something or they need to have a really good plan on how they disengage this. This we're seeing right now, Somalia versus Nigeria. Completely different story. Both these teams have space. Both these teams have high ground. Both these teams have information. It's a much more balanced story, and you can be much more happy now at your position if you're Somalia. Mauritius, they really got to get something going here. They really better have a plan, because their position right now, yes, they're in the circle, but it's not great for the rest of this game.
I think it's not great for anyone right now on that southern side of Yaz, to be honest. But that might just be the IGL speaking now, I mean the ex-IGL, because it's so tough, first of all. as you said as well, it really comes down to the circle, right? Who's going to have to leave first? Who's going to have to kind of leave last? And who's really engaging who? And all these angles, they make it kind of unpredictable to some degree. And as soon as you get that first knock against you, most of the times you're just going to be losing that player almost immediately, right? These buildings and roofs are so easy to nade, but what about nades? Egypt is trying to put up some of them as they have the first rotate all around them. There's some shots from Morocco in the distance as well. And so far, no one's been knocked. And Egypt is still 7 LMs strong in comparison to Morocco's 1. Yeah. So that might give us a hint on what's going to happen in the next couple of phases. But then again, we talked also about Morocco holding down the zone. This is a good one now for them.
Yeah, but they got to get a little creative here, right? They're going for this. Oh, they found the knock. That's big. They know they have an opening now. They know they can slowly crunch this out, and then they can take dip by dip. An opening in a fight like this, it looks like it's just one kill, but it's so big, it's so massive, and you can see Egypt instantly trying to react on this, but Morocco is going, and they know who they're going up against, and they know they have to go now.
Oh, yes, they do. Vip gets breached, and I think that should be the first casualty against Egypt, and it is Morocco. And once more, we said these teams will be fighting each other time and time again, and that couldn't have been a coincidence. There was no way this is a coincidence. Morocco realized it was Egypt in there as soon as Egypt was able to find that first knock on the southern side. So great stuff coming in. They still have lots of stuff in front of them, and Senegal has now breached the dips.
Senegal is just right in between them. Senegal has just pulled up in between those two teams. Egypt was trying to come back to contest the knock, to try and fight, and Senegal just flew into that dip in between them. And that's not only making things worse for the teams around them, it's pretty rough for Senegal as well. They are so in the middle right now, and it's going to become a really awkward fight where the higher you peak up, the more people around you will see you, and the more the teams around you will try to damage you. So crazy situation for a lot of these teams right now. And Egypt is maybe on the best side of it. They're in the zone, and they can just wait this out, but Zuxi's been caught.
Zuxi has been knocked down. I think he's not even in a reasonable spot right now. I think he might just be taken down. This could be horrible for Egypt now, and I'm saying, you were saying as well that maybe Egypt's got the best position in the circle, but look at Morocco. They might just rotate in. What are we seeing here? What is happening? Marshall rotates through. More cars. 2 more knocks. They have just wiped Senegal off the map. Morocco, and they didn't need to shoot a single bullet for it. Morocco, oh my goodness. 6 frags in the pocket, not a single knock in return. And Egypt, they're right next door, and they've got 2 frags already against them.
Marshall's got this as well. He knows that nade was close. He knows it wasn't bad. He spotted Mohamed over the top. He's spotting him here again. A second nade to follow things up. He wants to open. He wants to close this fight with the util. You can see how much nades they have. Mohamed, he's dancing. He's finding 1. He's finding 2. Wow. Oh, wow. He's turning this around. He had no right to do so. He was spotted. He was low. But he's gone and put up a stand for Egypt now. He even wants to keep on peeking with a nade at his feet. That's going to put him down. That's going to make this fight close. But what? Egypt is flying into this. Krona is just going on in.
There's no way. He shouldn't get more than this. They get taken out. The support is just too big. And Morocco has done it again. The home crowd goes absolutely wild. And we have 8 frags now for Morocco going into the later stages. And we said Egypt, they're going to get focused by Morocco, just like they did to them. And look what happened just this very next game. We see them breaching dip after dip after dip, going after them. And that's just been massive for them now in terms of the audible leaderboard situation. Yeah. 8 frags now in a perfect position to potentially close out this game. They've got everything they need. Look at how much bodies they have.
And they get every single res as well. They get every single res out of that situation. They fly into that dip with cars. They get 2 of them knocked down by Mohamed. And they somehow get all 4 back up. Look at the rest of the lobby. Look at Mali. Look at them trying to fight out the yellow houses. Everybody is busy. Everybody is struggling. This is a crazy opportunity for Morocco. And oh boy, they had no right to take it that cleanly, but hell, they did. And like you said, plenty of loot to gather, plenty of smokes to expand, and they can just be the third party in force here if they want to.
Good nade against Ghana here. I think there's another one coming on over. This might be perfect. Oh, these are some massive, massive nades. Flush, I think, has been secured as well. I think it's Shy Boy and obviously Spammer now left alive. He has to be careful though. Shy Boy, I think Spammer is... No, he's still prone. Okay, I thought he was knocked there for a second. He's not bleeding out indeed. He's going to have time to get that first aid going. Escanor, though, could have even pulled up in that ridge line directly. It's a P9 on the other hand, so I think that's going to scare him off, at least for a second. But Ghana, man, they're in deep, deep trouble.
They're in trouble. The P90, the 3 gear, is going to keep him alive in this for now. But no first aid on Spammer. He doesn't have anywhere to go. The nade knocks him down, and Mali is making the move out of the yellow. On the minimap, you see Morocco doing the same thing a little bit further off to the west. But the util right now is good for Hassan, and he's keeping Escanor alive and confident in this. Good move coming out of Mali. Good move towards the ridgeline. But look at Morocco. They're still in this. They're still kicking, and they're taking more and more space.
This is actually kind of a tough fight, I got to be honest. Morocco doesn't really have any clear idea, and I think, on how many players from Madagascar are alive. But they fight the first one. Question is, do they know where the last player is? I think it's kind of an off-angle type situation. So if Sora activates at the right time, this could be disastrous for Morocco. He's got 4 nades as well. But they're looking at potentially 13th one. Oh, this was what I'm saying. Sora, 1, 2, 3 as well. This is falling apart so very heavily for Morocco. And I think that nade might just finish up all of them. It does to 2. This is not the breach that they wanted. Unfortunately, Morocco is going to fall short. It's the very last player here from Madagascar. But it's not quite over yet.
Bandages is all he has. Lazy's on his doorstep, cooking the nade, trying to get it on in, and Lazy does get that nade on in. Morocco.
Wow.
Yes, they're down to just 1, but they're not down and out, and oh my, what an off angle from Sora. But in the end, Lazy at least closes it out. Another kill, another placement point to keep Morocco in this.
And Lazy, he's found the 14th frag as well. Morocco is just unbeatable at the moment. It would need to take plenty more frags from Mauritius to overtake them even with a win, because I think Morocco is going to survive here for a couple of more placements as well. I think Somalia and especially Nigeria as well, I think they're going to have to fight. Obviously, Mali, I think, as well is going to third party from the distance. So Somalia, Mali, and Nigeria, I think these 3 teams, maybe even Mauritius as well, will have to fight in the next phase. And look, Morocco kind of untouched for the time being. Realistically, the only chance for them to kind of go out after Morocco is if I think it's got to be Mali down there towards the southern side. Yeah, it's Mali. If Mali actually takes Morocco down, I like that play. I want to see it happen, but so far we haven't really seen the confidence to do so.
I don't think they will. I think they realize there's a lot of angles coming out of that Yasnaya city, and if you don't clear Morocco now, the only thing Morocco is going to do is help you close out this city, because look at the minimap right now. Look at all these players that have to make a move out of the city at exactly the same time, and you want every single help you can get to make sure you're winning the game. If you're Mali, you love that there's still a Moroccan solo in that tower. He's probably got a few nades, he's got some util, he can slow everything down that comes out of the city, and that should make it so much easier for that Mali squad to clean this up, because right now, everybody that's in the city is on an absolute timer, and it's not looking like any of them will have a good time coming out of here.
No. I still think they should push Morocco out of this building. Definitely not because obviously I'm against Morocco in any sort of way. I think the home crowd here is probably our biggest reason on as to why we should actually root for Morocco, and it's been amazing so far. But they would gain so much more space, and I think with the way these teams are positioning themselves outside the city, they're bound to find each other, even without Mali third-partying this. You can see it happening right now. They're still very far from the blue zone, but also kind of far from the safe zone. So it's not going to get any easier from this point onward. Nigeria hasn't even left the buildings yet. So, man, it's going to get so tough.
It's not easy to come out of here, especially with everybody else trying to evacuate at the same time. South Africa falls. A little bit more space for the Mauritian squad, but they're all down to half HP. And now the move comes out from Somalia. Nades come into the smokes, but Nigeria hasn't found an opening just yet, and they desperately want one. There's so much pressure coming in from both sides here. They're just so pinned on down. And these smokes are going to fade at some point, and then you'll have nothing left but a few hay bales. You really need to eliminate some angles here. You really need to claim one of your sides for yourself, because if you don't, you're just going to get picked off, and you're not going to survive in the field much longer.
No, you're not. I'm surprised all of these teams are still left standing. I'm very surprised. Even Morocco doesn't really have much third-party opportunity. There's a couple of shots going back and forth between Morocco and Somalia, but no knocks have been, unfortunately, found by anyone. Obviously, for Morocco, he'd be immediately taken out of this one. Yeah, that's what I've been saying as well. Morocco had so many bodies to loot down the southern side. Yeah. Essentially, it's been 3 teams. Yeah. So he has, I think, plenty of bodies even outside of his tower as well. Yeah. So if he makes it to late game, man, we've seen everything at this point. Who knows?
He can blow up Somalia here. If he finds the angles, if he realizes where they're playing, he can get out nade after nade after nade. I think he's just found one as well. He's just found one with the gun. Now has to be careful he doesn't get returned on, but I think he was cooking a nade right there. If he manages to land that, that'd be absolutely crazy. But for now, he's probably going to be surviving just a little bit longer. He's healing back up. The nade will come on out. And if he just lands one more into that smoke, he can just unleash all 5 of them. And oh, that's looking spicy. That does damage. That knocks down Falcon.
Okay.
And that is the opening he wanted. Now he just unleashes. Now he's just a barrage. He's a mobile red zone. And that is tricky, tricky times for a Somalian squad that has absolutely no space, Felix.
They need to get a move on. I think that's the only chance, really. Like, close the distance. Leave your player. At this point, you're not going to get him out either. This is one more frag being secured. 15th right now for Morocco. They are destroying this lobby. There's no other words in this one to kind of, I don't know, like talk about anyone else having a chance. Let's be honest. It is all down to Morocco, and they have the potential to pick up 2 more now, even. But Lazy, he's out of nades. Apparently, we've seen the last of it now. There's a nade back for the first time. Being Lazy, exit the building. He barely escapes it. 2 players are right around him, but they're being shotted as well. Lazy, he's still in this one.
He's still staying alive. He's still kicking. They're taking damage in the bottom floor. They don't really have the time to clear him. He rolls out the window. They both have nade in hand. What is that? The timing.
What?
Bro, the timing is absolutely massive. He catches both of them with a nade in hand.
There should be no way in hell he wins this one. But Morocco, man, these guys are just too damn good. 17 eliminations now as we're heading into the last fight of this match number 4. Mauricio still tries to win a second game. These guys have done it before. Sandhog as well has been around, and they've been so consistent in the late stages. But Mali, they unfortunately haven't. Good thing is, though, they've got the man advantage.
They've got the man advantage, but they have nothing else. Not a lot of meds. We've seen players without bullets here. We've seen players that haven't really shot their guns as yet. They're on 2 elims. They haven't really been able to flex on out, and they've been playing this one so passively. They've really been waiting everything out almost a little bit too much. At least one of the Mauritian players has been taken down, so that gives them a bigger man advantage. But I'm watching this, and I'm seeing players prone with no HP. They're now getting pushed into the open. This is looking like Mauritius all over.
Yes, and Mali, they just don't have the confidence to stand up, get peaks together, and that's going to obviously work perfectly into the hands of Mauritius. One more knock, it's taken down. They might be able to do this 2 on 4, and by the looks of it, they've got so much more advantage right now with the position as it stands. But Lucifer's been knocked. It's all down to Faker now. It's 2 players left standing. He will be found, and Mali, out of nothing, make a win happen with 3 players left standing as well. I know it's been a rather, I want to say, low-point win, but, man, that's got to feel good for them. That was the second chance, and this time around, they actually do it. Look at the smiles, man. Yeah. What a feeling that must be. First round for them as well.
It's also, we're sitting here and we're saying, wow, it's only a 4-kill win. We've seen crazy things happen, right? But if you don't win that game, you're devastated. If you don't win that game, you're coming out of the yellows, you have a team in front of you, you clear them, you basically have the entire server up to yourself. You don't win that game, you're heartbroken, you're really starting to question yourself. So it's really good that they did. But crazy stuff coming out of Mauritius, but insane plays of the Moroccan squad there.
That to me was like a 0% probability. Morocco somehow makes it work. As well, heading into game 5, ladies and gentlemen, here at the African Esports Championship, live from Casablanca, Morocco. It is game 5. We've seen the favorites come shining through, but we've also seen some runner-ups right now that I didn't really expect. I was talking to the Arabian talent, and they said Mauritius. Wasn't that unexpected, actually? These guys are an experienced lineup. They are playing in plenty of, especially off-season tournaments. They're practicing a lot, and it's a pretty big region too. So I'm looking forward to seeing Mauritius a bit more. It is 10 points different only. That's like almost nothing. So the possibility is there that we might even see a different team now than Egypt and Morocco inside the qualification places after Miramar is finished.
First Miramar of the day, first Miramar of the tournament, and we are starting off with something you don't really see a whole lot. It's a Partona hot drop, and it's the second time that we see Niger in such an early confabulation here. Djibouti on the other side, 4v4. Not a whole lot of space for either of them to grab. It's grabbing guns, it's getting ready, and it's running it down.
Yeah, I don't think there's any other way to go about this. There's not really much like strategy involved in a hot drop like this here in this specific city, right? It's relatively straightforward. You know where the players land, you know where your teammates land, and at this point it's just Mexican standoff to some degree, right? Who's got the better angles? Who's going to get the first pick? Not really many positions that are unexpected to some degree in this hot job as well. First players from Djibouti are closing the distance, though. They want to go aggressive on this. They want to get some more buildings going here towards the northern side.
But they've a little bit boxed themselves into a corner here. Yes, they've left a player behind. Yes, there's only 3 up front. But with the off angle that Luke has on top, this might get a little awkward. If they get caught in the cross here, this could very easily go the other way. They have to be careful. They have to be wary about what they're dealing with. And if they figure that out, sure, nades can do the trick. Util can do the trick. They know well where Mugi is playing. But do they know about the off angle from the rooftop? It doesn't look like it, as they're just walking on by. But so far, the Winnie hasn't rung out. It hasn't gotten a knock at least. So they're able to run this down.
They're able to run this down quite convincingly, actually, up until this point. But no knock has been found, unfortunately, by Djibouti. They're still looking for it. King is trying to get up onto the rooftop terrace, but even then, he just got some pretty good angles on their own teammates. So I don't expect the knock to happen anytime soon just yet. I think someone needs to overcome it massively in order to get an entry here.
It's a ring around the rosy. They're playing cat and mouse. Nasser is so far off in the distance. He's been spotted as well. Jan, I don't know if they're aware. Yes, they are.
Yes, they are.
They know he's behind the corner. Do they have any util to clear it out? Doesn't look like it. And the angles are awkward. Mugi finds a bit of damage around the side, but he's very, very left to his own devices here. He's all singled out. And Djibouti is using the power in numbers. Yes, they're taking tons of damage, but they have put out the first knock, and they're looking for a second here.
And there it goes. Mugi goes down. That's going to be the first knock going the way of Djibouti. And they're very fortunate to get both of those players back into the city and into the building, rather. But the knock is still going to happen. King goes down. And they'll leave Cyber and the rest of his squad alive in a 3-on-3. But one frag has been found on the mobile by Nasser. And now Lucky is getting pressure back into the building itself as well. I think now the advantage is clearly in favor of Ninja.
They have to be careful, though. They don't want to get these flashes coming on through. And Zyboy comes around the corner. Jump shot instantly to save his teammate. Trying to hold things together just a little bit. The flushes come out at least. But with Mugi knocked and the res coming on through, Djibouti is now looking like they'll grab the man advantage and like they'll put themselves in the better position here in this hot drop, Alex.
One more flash has been found. Nessa was able to take him down. And yeah, as you said, just one player left standing now. They should know about his position as well. Izzy Boy was able to shoot at him earlier. So, yeah, look. He still hasn't changed his position. Should be known. Should be pushed any second now. But he's got that big advantage, which is that Zyboy and his teammate both have to cross the street. That might give him a window of opportunity before the player right below him is going to push up the stairs to maybe get an entry. I think that's the only way he's going to survive this as well.
Yeah, it's a bit tricky here for Djibouti because they don't want to give him a 1v1, right? But they need the player in the building. They need Nasser to at least put down a little bit of pressure. So Luke can not just be playing on that rooftop completely freely. But on the other hand, there's no helmet. There's no scope on that M4. There's no meds or util to speak of. So this should be a clear, and this should be very possible for the Djibouti squad. You can see the nades coming in and out. I don't think Luki has any idea. That's a good one. It's cooked to perfection. What?
Wow.
That is massive. And, well, we said it could be a tricky clear. But, oh, boy, they just excelled, and they done that to that perfection. And now they can say, well, we lost one member, but for 4 kills, we'll take that.
Yeah, I'll take that trade any day. I think in a situation like that on the leaderboard, I'll take that trade any day of the week. What a nade, though. I mean, what a nade. And Ninja, they just cannot seem to catch a break. They're going from contest to contest to contest to early fight to contest. That just seems to be no end in sight. I really want there to be an end in sight because we haven't really seen anything from it. It's the same story as always. If you keep on fighting early, there's no plays, no room to showcase your actual skill.
You're playing a whole different game. Playing a whole different game. You're in these hot drops. You're late to the party now. Rotations come out into the circle. Nigeria on top, trying to get some damage out. Egypt under a bit of fire and losing a few vehicles in the process. Maybe they can get them back up. A little bit of bumping is necessary. Madagascar, on the other hand, they're cruising on through, and they don't really seem to know that they're going in such close vicinity to that Somalian player. But he has to be careful as well. He doesn't want to get singled out here. He has to be really careful with what fights he takes and what shots he takes, because very quickly that can get turned around, and suddenly you're in a 1 versus 4.
Beats. Oh, might have just flipped this vehicle. I think that might have just happened for Madagascar. No worries, though. There's no one anywhere close by the looks of it that at least has an angle on it. Obviously, except for the team that they've just rotated past, but they shouldn't, as I said, get an angle on this one. So even if they do flip, I think Madagascar should be able to get out of this one with 4 players left standing. As we are approaching phase 2, another rotation coming in from the team that we have to watch now, that everyone has to watch now, the entire lobby at this point, because they're running away with it. I think they might have dropped down below Morocco again. I'm pretty sure of that. don't remember the leaderboard exactly, but I think there's been a 5, maybe 10 points difference now with Morocco getting that 16 kill second place that we've just witnessed. Once more, Morocco playing it safe in the early game, something we also haven't seen, but still grabbing the frags.
Just getting out there late, but getting out there ever more explosive. Kenya, one of the teams that hasn't really been getting a whole lot going today. They're playing as 3 as well. That's always going to just limit you. That's going to hamper you incredibly much in a lobby like this. And going to be tough for them to really make a stand, especially once teams know, okay, these guys are always up to 3. We knock 1 down, we're suddenly in a 4 versus 2, right? That's just a rough position to be in. As they're coming out of Los Leones area, they try to make a move towards good positions in the circle. But remember, we had exactly this team. We had Nigeria just off on the hills to their northeast. We had Egypt already rotating on in deeper into that circle. So they've been beaten to the punch by a lot of the teams around them, and they've also lost a member. So the times are staying tough for Kenya.
Next rotation comes in, Djibouti. Unfortunately, just 1 player that made it out of this entire scenario. I'm surprised now, because I thought they should have gone out with 2 or 3 players. But also, Senegal has gotten 2 frags. So that must have been Senegal picking up 2 Djibouti players in the rotation. We unfortunately missed that, but it's going to mean a little bit more trouble for Djibouti now. Good thing is we have one more Miramar coming up, and if that gives us any idea on how Morocco and Niger settle things, then I think they're not going to be able to contest again, or at least have a contest.
That's one thing that we haven't mentioned at all. It's also terrible about these hot drops, right? People landing around, you will see there's a lot of parachutes. They might see the knocks and the kills in the kill feed, and they can just say, well, these guys are late. These guys have 0 information. We should be able to just hold them out. And that might have been what happened there with Senegal, just realizing, hey, this is some kills we can grab. And this is not just kills we can grab, but this is a team on our side of the circle that we can weaken significantly. And that is such a massive, massive factor that really goes understated a lot. If you know a team next to you is down in numbers, you can always try to play in behind them. You can always try and pressure them. They'll have less space, they'll have less information, they'll have less manpower, they'll have less utility. It doesn't stop there, right? Taking members from teams around you is incredibly powerful, and if you can do it for free in the early game, like Senegal did, massive stuff.
Absolutely. Massive stuff. Egypt here as well on the rotates. Tries to find something towards the western side of Los Leones, and there's Nigeria in the distance. Paramol right outside the building, actually. These guys have found a frag already. The same cannot be said about Egypt in match number 5, as they are very, very close now in terms of potentially clashing. But I also think Paramol has not been spotted yet. That might make it really difficult for Egypt to expect this.
Very powerful ridge as well. Very powerful low ground for him. The only problem he might have is if they run him down with multiple members. He's getting a nade out though. Oh, he's getting aggressive on this. He's got teammates pulling on up. Where does that nade go? It's oh my god, it's perfect. What
are these
it
nades
is
today?
So clean. Krona doesn't even know where it came from, and just like that, the opening is there. Mohamed instantly out of there, disengaging, and just like that, you're one of the best teams in the lobby. One good play by one good player, and you're down a member.
Unbelievable nade coming in from Nigeria. As you said, that's something you can't really defend against. Nigeria really surprising Egypt there. But I gotta highlight Nigeria even more so. Having the confidence to focus on that edge entirely, making sure they push them out in phase 1 or even phase 2, stuff like that is not to be seen very often. And it goes to speak volumes actually about all these teams, even the underdogs, having plenty of confidence going into this one. And that's what you need to kind of stand up to the bullies that these favorites are. Yeah,
you love to see it. You love to see teams realizing, hey, we don't have 20 points a game like some of these guys do, but we can still bring a fight to them. We can still be a threat, and we can still play our own game, and that's what we have to do if we want to win, if we want to qualify. Now South Africa, they've shown signs of brilliance, but they haven't been consistently getting into late games. They haven't been consistently putting too many points on the board. As they've really been winning a lot of fights, but not really winning the second fight a game, or the third fight a game, really putting themselves into positions. Now they knock a player right below them that should never get rezzed, and that's the winner of the last game. That's Mali trying to disengage from the remainders of this fight.
I think they're going to be able to run away with these 3 players. But as you said as well, no way to get that 4th player at the very least picked up. South Africa is just making sure that no one's even thinking about it. And the more they wait, the more surely they get the flash. And it's been some time now since they did get that as well. So South Africa starts off with a frag and reverb. It's a good first pickup. It's going to solidify their position in the northern side even more so. They do have another team rotating in the distance, and that's the team I'm more scared of. Look who's behind them in the crater area, but I think they're rotating past now as well. So I'll take it back. South Africa in a really great spot.
Good spot if they control their area, if they control their sidelines, like you just said, behind them. That's a nice little shot by SixGod. Puts a bit of damage down range, but a really hard knock to get. Now they have tons of space in front of them. Now Mali's disengaged this completely, and that goes back to the point I was making earlier. You take one member out of that Mali squad, suddenly they don't want you to fight you anymore. They are hoping that they can maybe get into territory with other teams that don't know that they're 3 men up, and that don't know they've just taken out one of your members. So they fall away completely, and tons of space is gathered for the South African squad. On the other side of this, Tunisia, Somalia, that's a fight that's not waiting to kick on off. That's kicking off right away.
Yeah, Yuhai from Tunisia is looking to get an entry against the Somalian players. Tunisia has not lost a play yet. They've just got a big split going. I know it looks that way, but no, they've just got a big split going with the other side, which I really love. But Somalia has kind of taken advantage of that, and they needed to as well. That was the best entry they've had right in front of them. And I like their chances now in this 2v1. I know that Ali hasn't found the entry that he was hoping for originally, but no one is really making a move to support him. And that's the weird thing. They must be held back by some sort of sightlines, otherwise I can't really explain why Tunisia is not closing the distance.
It's the same is to be said for Hulk as well. He's also not closing the gap. He's not making this a 2v1. You said it is a 2v1, and it is in the compound, but Hulk is getting away from this. Hulk is going out of here and leaving Ali in the 1 versus 1. Somalia doesn't seem to want to fight this. They've got Glitch knocked in the distance. They're trying to get reses instead of taking the fight aggressively. And now Yuhai, he's dancing. He's dodging around the angles. He knows he has a chance to take this 1v1. He's going so aggressive on this. How is he just daring to do this? Not waiting for cover from his teammate, not waiting for the backup you mentioned. He wants to close this out by himself.
Yeah, and we can see in the minimap there's some other team. Is Nigeria holding it? Okay, so I was saying that there's no way they weren't going to group unless there's some team having silence on him, and it is Nigeria. Western side holds the cross. Tunisia can support Skirp and obviously a Yuhai now, but Skirp has made it across. That's the one good news. So it's a 2v2 at the very least. Make it a 2v3, depending on if that fight starts and Somalia groups up. Obviously also depending on who's going to get that entry. But yeah, you're still in very dangerous territory, and it looks like both teams really do not want to support any of their players. It looks like they're going to just let this one go into a 1v1. That's really surprising to me.
It's so surprising to me because this is at arm's length. This is a hand away from a 2v1, right? It's Skirp just running over, just providing a bit of util. Now they finally do, and you can see how much that helps, right? 2 different angles on the door, and just like that, it's okay that Yuhai trades out the damage because he's got a teammate close by. They finally get it going, and they finally close it out, and they finally realize, okay, we are stronger together, and they do take the frag. Now they can concentrate on the teams around them. Now they can concentrate on a Nigeria, on a Senegal right on their doorstep, right? And now they can finally focus their attention wherever they want to be instead of being torn in between 2 sides.
Yeah. Good stuff. Coming out from the Tunisian players. Some good damage has been dealt by Ali, but it's just not been enough. And Somalia, just in general, being wiped out now. It's going to also mean Tunisia is kind of alone on that southeastern side, apart from Nigeria for the most part. I say that, but there's Ghana rotating on through. It's usually obviously Senegal that we have coming up. And the first one we call in rotation. I think there's some more shots potentially now for Paramore. He picked up the first one. Can he do more? Some good shots back and forth. That rotation is all out in the open. But I think they're going to make it through with 2 players. But this is not over yet. Look at the split Nigeria has. So much room being controlled by them. And there's still a massive, massive spot to potentially do something about the Senegalese players in that spot.
It's not looking good if you're Senegal. Yes, there's still 2 men up, but they are in dire straits right now. Tunisia is getting knocked on the other side of things. That helps them out, buys them a little bit of time, but look where they are in these smokes. They have no control over the area at all. Quilla is pulling up with nades, and once he lets those rip, with Sean covering over his shoulders, this should be game over for Senegal, but he has to guess. They're putting on a lot of smokes. They're making him work for it. They're making him think about it. And this might just be enough to survive. But what comes from this? Tunisia down to just 2 members now. They're taking so many knocks. This might actually become possible for Senegal.
Yeah, but they need to move fast. I think Nigeria is waiting for that first initial knock. And if Nigeria finds it with any of these nades,
yeah,
I think they're going to push on through. And I think they're going to try to wipe them clean off that eastern side. because that's the one team that's kind of holding them back. More shots by Sean. This is perfect play coming out from Nigeria. Quilla around the corner. He takes down one. He might have just taken down a second one. This is horrible right now for any Senegalese fan, because one more nade might just seal the deal. I think that might be really, really good. It pops a little bit too early. He still takes down Nasty Boy. And now it's just one player left standing. And Quilla, he wants to go for it. Molotov in hand, peeks around the right-hand side. Is he going to find it, though?
Oh, it's a risky 1v1. I love the confidence. I love that he's taking it. Wow. And he does clean it up. This is what Nigeria had to do. They had to get aggressive. They need this space, and they would hope to punish the teams below them, but they've given so much time now to Tunisia. The reses have come through, and now they have to think about where do we want to go from here. They have cleared their edge. They have taken out Senegal, but they have to think about where do we go from here, because once this Tunisian squad is no longer dealing with South Africa, they're going to be a big threat, peeking up from that roadside, peeking up from that ridge. It's not going to be a fun time being up where Nigeria is.
No, it's really not. Good trades, though, by Nigeria. Kind of reminded me of Morocco, to be honest, kind of controlling that edge with only 2 players. Honestly, you could argue even 1 player. I mean, Quilla was kind of the only one really engaging. I know there was some from Iesf, some support from the distance, but really he did it all on his own. At first in the Chinook, the nades to back it up, and then obviously that aggression to kind of rush over the open field, knowing he has an S12K.
And look at what the observers are showing us right now. This is Morocco in its home habitat. Chilling, center compound is owned. They have 1 frag, while the half of the lobby is dead already. And time again, we've seen them explode from this. Now they're trying to close out South Africa. That should be an easy pickup. But if they keep playing like they are playing in the last 3 games, then this is exactly the opening they want. This is exactly the early game they want. And they are ready to start dominating now.
They've got the vehicles as well, which is the most important thing if you play like this. Have an option to group up if need be, and if a knock happens, also to group up and kind of make sure he doesn't get flushed. So good stuff coming out from Morocco. They really need to just work with this edge now. There's so much kill potential in here, and that's what they've been waiting for this entire round. Now they need to make it happen, Morocco. Morocco's time to shine especially is any second now, and so is Tunisia's. They have all 4 players left standing. They are fighting South Africa. First knock is an easy pickup. 6 squad goes down, and there's a second one on the horizon.
They were on a timer. South Africa, they didn't really have space. They didn't really have angles. They had 2 strong teams around them. Now Momo is trying to get the shots into the car, but they're pulling up. They're jumping out. He's in the open. And Tunisia with a big sign of life. They've been okay in fights, but they've not been getting out of them with 4 members basically ever. This is the first time 4 kills off the bat. And a rough position to fight yourself in from, but at least a good starter, a bit of a momentum boost, and maybe they can find the right team, maybe they can find the right entry, the right gap in this circle to make things work for them.
And the Scout, in the meanwhile, has also played a really methodical and disciplined game, same as Mauritius. They've kind of gone the same way through southern side. They've never really found an entry on each other, so that's what all of the team is standing on both sides. And I really liked to see that happen as well. I like to see that Madagascar as well takes things a little bit slower. I like their rotations. I like their playing style, and I'll take it back to some degree. Obviously, have lost a player, but it's not been too troublesome. Now Egypt chimes in though, and that's the first knock from Mauritius. As soon as I kind of highlight anyone, apparently they go down. And yeah, Egypt. Who else to do it? Who else to do it? Zuxi with a great nade, and
he is so aggressive. Well. He is so aggressive. He's running this down.
Oh.
It's not even a beneficial fight. It's not a fight he should be winning.
Zuxi.
But I think that's a double headshot right there. 1-2, thank you. And he knocks him down. Egypt looking so good right now. And Mauritius, that car does not have a whole lot of HP left. He's flying away. He's going towards the zone. But this fight's been lost. And this fight's been won by no one but himself. Zuxi, 3 gear already. Again, now he's picking up a bit of util from the knock player. He's getting ready for the next one. And Egypt is picking it off right where they left it last game.
How is this guy still alive? That's what again is thinking. 3 knocks in the meanwhile against Tunisia. Senegal has actually held on through. Perfect play from them. Spammer especially, I've talked about him. The biggest frag on that lineup. That was the first one who time into the action. He's able to secure these ones as well. And I think he just picked up the last frag. This is really good spike. This is legitimately really good play. As I keep on mixing up Senegal, obviously Ghana. It's just tough for me, apparently. I'll make sure not to do it again. But yeah, either way, Ghana survives to do that northern side. Obviously, it's Ghana. As Mufasa, Nell, and Spammer have now got the entirety of that northern side to rotate on in. They're in great spots. I like their rotation. Good position in the circle. They can do a lot with this.
Look at Morocco, though. They're flexing out. They realize, okay, that team's gone. Yes, it's not in the circle, but we can grab some loot here. We can pick up a bit of utility. We can pick up a bit of supplies, and we'll use that in the later game. Ghana on the breach. They find Paradox, the last one up for Mauritius in this compound. He's just beaten them by maybe 30 seconds, maybe a minute, and they are now trying to close that out. They don't know for sure it's a solo, but they'll realize fairly quickly that there's not that much pressure coming back. And then hopefully we'll see them clear this, because they could play a good game from the bottom here. If they clear this compound cleanly and they play up with 3, this is not a bad spot to be in.
You can see Paradox. He's talking to his teammates. He knows that this entire round is now on his shoulders, and he's got 3 angry Ghana players in this compound. Paradox, he plays it smart. He's outside. He knows the sightlines are a little bit in favor, but no chance. I'm not sure who it was, but he gets immediately found out by Ghana. And what a pickup. They secure the compound. What a rotation as well. Ghana now one of the best spots in the circle. Will find themselves in late game for the first time as well. 1 frag, yes, but there's more to come.
3 members up. Good spot to be in. The only problem that I see is the team in front of them is Morocco. And Morocco is not to be stopped. Flexing out of the compound. They want to make sure that they are the ones playing from the lower ground. They've left Senkai up on that roof. And they have sent 2 players to just control that lower ground, just to hold out Ghana, to choke them out from entering the circle. And that's not looking all too unlikely with the way they're poised right now. Egypt on the other side, they're still taking the fight towards Nigeria. They want to take control of the hillside. But don't get it confused here. Right now, 8 elims on Nigeria. They are the top fragging team in this game right now.
Nigeria has practiced for the last 1.5 years leading up to this tournament. These guys have played together for so long. They're also known, definitely known in their specific region. Some really experienced players regionally. So I want to see something more from them. This is the round that they could show the entire African region that they're on the map. That Nigeria is there to fight and is there to potentially even grab a spot to Riyadh. Yes, we have our favorites, but they are to be beat. And we've seen this coming out from Mauritius. Now Nigeria has got to be the next favorites to finish.
Look at this from Mohamed as well. He's not even helping his team. They're just delaying on that side of the circle as he's trying to bring the pain to Ghana. He will spot Spammer there, but he has to be careful not to get his own helmet taken off, not to get his own head popped off in the distance. Mali, in the meantime, they've gone under fire from this Moroccan killing squad. Marshall is getting the nades on out. This is a matter of seconds until this closes. Yes, he's running. Yes, he's trying to stay alive. They're not found in between the buildings, but this should be a matter of seconds, and there it is. Morocco with another clear. Morocco with 7 elims, and Morocco, Egypt in this late game again. Falix, these 2 teams. Yes. Yes, there was a contender with Nigeria, but look what happens when you fight Egypt. What is that from Zuxi?
Oh my lord! Zuxi takes down 7 players in this lobby already. And I think he just got the last 3 from Nigeria as well. Creeps up the backside. We've seen his reps around the corner, his individual reps as well. There's no one there to support him, but he still makes it work every single time. And Zuxi once again takes the lead with Egypt. 9 frags now. They've lost the play in the process, though. Their sim cannot be set up on Morocco, so this game is still very much open. And Morocco now has to fight Ghana. 1 player, maybe even that has to be taken down from Morocco, could destroy their game and would give the advantage back to Egypt, especially with these positions right now. But Marshall, he's taking things slow. He's not giving, unfortunately, for any Moroccan fan, and especially unfortunately for any Egyptian fan, he's not giving them any chance to go down.
Lazy's knocked. Lazy's knocked. That's the opening. Egypt. We've seen this. We've seen this before. Man advantage for Morocco, but they have to be careful not to give it away. You see on the minimap, Egypt is flying on in. They want to close out that knock. They don't want to let that res happen. They're going for a 2v1 onto Senkai. Senkai finds good damage onto the first. Again, has to come over the top. He has to do it once again, and he's finding a lot of damage. But Senkai turns it around. He has no right to win that fight. I think he's just kept Egypt out of this just by the power of his own hands, completely alone. 1 versus 2. But he clutches up, and he's sending Morocco to the sky right now.
And look at this. They've been down a player going into this, right? Krona has been down from the very start of this fight happening. So for them to receive a knock is something completely different than Morocco receiving a knock, as they have the man advantage either way going into this. And now Egypt obviously fighting in 2 fronts, but so is Morocco now, obviously, with Ghana on that western side, they're still fighting. Nades being popped back and forth. This might be a good Molotov, but Senkai's got the nade on the other hand. This is a good one.
Whoa.
It catches off Senkai, and who else to do it but again? And that's going to equalize things. 3-on-3 now.
3-on-3, and like you said, Morocco, they're fighting on two fronts. Egypt, once again, they want to go for that clear. Now they're realizing, okay, there's not that many members left here. We have quite a bit of space. Do they realize there's a player at the haystack? They know someone's left. They don't know how many, but there is the trade. There's the angle. And once again, it's looking like Morocco are getting absolutely cleaned up by this Egyptian squad, even though they had the man advantage.
Even though they had the man advantage, but it's not over yet, though. Mohamed is still lurking around these rich land. Morocco knows now the best case scenario might just be taking down Ghana, but even that proves to be big trouble. Kerry is going to take him down, but that means it's Egypt right above, and Kerry, he has to do so much more to still win this round. He's on 3 frags, 9 elims, but look where Egypt is. They're way above that, 12, and they're looking to pick up 2 more.
Do they know where Marshall is? That's the question. I think they have a rough idea. They don't have the exact position, but at least he's not going to be a completely unknown factor. If he had a big off angle, maybe, but Kerryman's caught in the open. He has to run. He has to dodge and weave. Zuxi does not shy away from a fight. We know he's going to keep peeking on over.
Wow.
And just like that, once again, Egypt. Some steps done towards the road to Riyadh.
Be reminded, it is top 2. I know we said it plenty of times now during the broadcast, but we're going to have to highlight that a bit more. Right, 30 points right now. It might not seem like much in a best of 18, but it really is. I mean, how do you close that distance? That's almost 2 dinners right away.
Yeah, and you say that, right? 30 points is not a lot in a best of 18. We've just played a best of 5. And 30 points have come out of 5 games. That's mental. That's crazy stuff. And that just shows right now they're head and shoulders above the rest.
I don't want to keep on coming back to the regional qualifiers, but we've seen it time and time again. And unfortunately, these regional qualifiers, they've not gone any other different way. I know there's been some comebacks to some degree happening sometime, but really, has it really happened? Yes, the Europe region maybe has had some upsets.
Yeah.
But there's also been plenty of internationally experienced teams. This time around, it might be a little bit more difficult to get a head up on obviously Egypt and Morocco. And are we fanboys now from Mauritius? I think to some degree we are. First fight is happening, though. It is Djibouti. He hasn't been able to find a weapon, unfortunately. What? How is he winning this? He might just turn it around. He's found a weapon as well now. I think he hasn't got any shots left. Jenkins taken down. What has he just done? There should be no way ever he gets this one. But he does apparently, and Nasser is going to pick up that first frag. He took out the knife to do it. What kind of madman is this guy made of?
What is that? Oh, that's the worst thing in the world to happen. You're sitting on a stage and you get knifed, and then the M249 comes out. Oh boy, Djibouti had.
It's not even Counter-Strike either. It's Pubgm Mobile. That's
no right to get away with that one. I don't know what I've just seen. Nasser picks up 1. The rest of the squad gets out of dodge here, and it's looking like they know exactly where Daddy is as well. And they're probably going to run that man down as well. That is not something I've ever seen before. And then, if you're a fan of Kenya right now, it's not something you ever want to see happen again.
No, surely not. And that was, I think it was Jags too. The player that I've highlighted out of this lineup. He's been such a strong force during obviously Kenya's qualification to get here. And just generally in that region, he's been such a strong player. That unfortunately is not his highlight. Not this time around. We're gonna have to wait and see if that comes back. Obviously tomorrow he's gonna be done and dusted for today. Next fight is gonna happen immediately afterwards. And we said that playing path might not matter too much. Apparently it really does. Second contest of the day, and I really like what Somalia is doing here. But just as much as Somalia is playing high ground, look who's also playing high ground. It's Senegal. And I think I'm not so sure they realize that just yet.
They're trying to clear the top while they're fighting for the bottom. This is a 2v2 at the bottom, and I think a 2v2 at the top as well. Ali, we've seen him there. He's holding down the high ground. Hulk has to do it all in the bottom. Bleeding. They've gotten the opening, but now he's outmanned, outgunned, outnumbered. He's dancing around it. He's trying to delay for the reload. Somehow he's staying alive in this. They're both down to 1 HP. They're one bullet away with the UMP, but he can't connect them. He has to reload once again. This is messy as it comes. And oh boy, nobody's coming away with a knock here. They're both just fighting with scraps. And it's Meti Boy from the back lines who takes it, and he makes this a little bit more doable now for Senegal. They've traded out 3 versus 2, or 1 versus 2, so Senegal 3 men alive. They don't have the high ground anymore, but at least they have the numbers advantage.
Really good stuff coming out. And Hulk, unfortunately, just couldn't get it done. That was one shot needed on both of these players, and he would have had a 1v2 right then and there.
Literally 1 bullet.
Will be taken down to just 2 players, and Hulk especially, he's been looking for an opportunity like this in terms of fighting. He's been waiting to get into these close range, close quarter combats. this would have been his chance. This would have been his opportunity here. But unfortunately, 2 players down, 1 Elim. Yes, there's something to be said about this that kind of went their way. But this is not enough in terms of picking things back up, getting into prize pool range, and also qualifying range even. If you start off like this, last game of the day, it's going to get even tougher tomorrow.
Yeah, this is not something that you're happy about at all. We said before, you're losing 1 member for 4 kills? Sure. You're losing half of your team for 1. Absolutely not in the realms of discussing even. We've seen there for a second as well. We saw Djibouti as well, losing 1. Yes, they get the opening towards Kenya. Yes, they get the 2nd kill, but they at least lost a member for it. So they're making this painful, the Kenyan squad here, and they're making this something that not even Djibouti wants to repeat. This fight might continue for a while here. Lots of angles for Glitch and Ali. But again, once the circle comes close, once they have to start moving away from the blue zone, this should dissolve. And I see Senegal definitely moving towards the cars here and getting out of this one. Probably the prudent choice. Yeah,
probably the right choice. We've seen teams and countries especially able to still make a lot of points happen, actually. Especially in a lobby like this, where we set 14 teams, you might have a little bit more space on the edges. Maybe rotation paths will be clear that normally just really aren't. Compounds are not played as heavily due to the fact that some of these top teams are just taking in so much space and like to play outside of compounds as well. So these winning compounds still have massive potential for teams to get into and potentially pick up some placement points, even kill points. We saw what Morocco could do. We saw what Egypt also could do with just a couple of players left standing. So I like what Somalia is doing here. I kind of like what obviously Senegal is doing here right now, which I think is just, putting things back, making sure you get your cars ready and waiting for the next phase. And essentially resetting, right? Make sure to grab as much as you can now that it's safe to loot. And obviously, opposed to just keep on fighting this. None of these fights really between all these teams in the early game has really gone one way or the other cleanly. Yeah, and even when they do go cleanly, you might still get camped on rotation like Morocco is doing right now. You see they're setting up for a team coming in from that edge. Luckily for Madagascar, they wanted to go a little bit further south, but so far they're dodging this one. Morocco has been successful with this in the past. We've seen them on Sanok picking up some nice early kills. We've seen other teams try it. Tunisia, remember the bridge camp, but it doesn't always go as easy as it looks when you look at the map. And we'll have to wait and see, because Morocco very far edge. We've seen them take good compound. We've seen them take plenty of high priority spots and then playing it passively. Now they're sitting on edge and they have to get into the circle at first. This is quite different now to what we saw in Erangel as well the game before. We saw Morocco making sure, even though that wasn't necessarily winning compound, making sure to keep all 4 players alive. And in a round where I said there was no way in hell they were going to get more than 10 frags out of this one, even if they win it, they still made 16 happen. Now this is quite different again, right? They realize they have the edge. They realize they can split it as much as they can. They can arrest some of these teams rotating in, and they probably have practice for this as well. They probably studied who's going to be that exact team rotating in, who's going to be that country that is going to make that entry through that northern side of them. And at this point, it becomes kind of an easy decision with how well things have been going for Morocco, that they're going to take these fights as well. And also, strategy-wise now, let's think about this for a second. If you're Morocco now, do you still focus on Egypt as much? Because the big goal is obviously going to Riyadh. Who do you really harass at this point?
It's a really interesting question. I love that you bring that up, because there will be 2 games played, especially if things continue like this. There will be the game of managing to qualify, and there will be the game of winning the tournament. And there is a prize pool difference, right? 5,000 less for the second place than for the winner. It's $12,500, $10,500. That is a chunk of change, and also the bragging rights, right? You love to win your own region. You would love to dominate the first ever African Esports Championship.
It is historic.
But first, you're locking in the qualification, surely.
No one's going to be taking that title away from you. Imagine going up to family dinner and telling everyone, I'm the African Esports champion. Legitimately. No one's going to...
You can tell your kids about that.
No one's... I'd tell my kids about it. I mean, that's just nuts. Either way, next rotations are coming in. Nigeria will play the same split that we've seen last game as well. Work out quite perfectly for them. It's a split that you gain plenty of information from, whether that be north side, west side, south side. And we saw what they did with that as well. And that's the good thing. If you play that correctly, like Nigeria has last game, you can even harass teams like Egypt that will think they're fine with the amount of confidence they have until a good nade happens. And I like what we saw last game. Maybe Nigeria can repeat that again.
Look at Egypt scouting, and look who's right ahead of them. It's like they're attracted to each other. It's like they're magnets. Morocco, northern side of the ridge. Egypt slowly getting that information game going, slowly starting to get the feelers in, starting to realize, hey, this is maybe where we have to stop. This is maybe where we cut it. Phase 2 pops on in. First few moves are coming out. Madagascar has to be careful, because they're cruising right into the open arms of Lazy and the rest of the squad. But Lazy doesn't know there's a player that close. Now he gets tagged in the head, realizes right and quick, okay, I have to get out of here. Yes, my team's here, but I'm a little bit out-positioned. And they reset this, And now we have to wait and see, is this an actual fight, or is this another reset angle?
I still like this, though. I could still very much see Morocco engaging this one. We have a next fight coming up, though, and that is South Africa. And that's Mali on the distance as well. More nades are coming in. We saw Mali being very passive so far in these engagements. This time around, it looks quite different. South Africa is down a player. Mali's breaching the building. 3 players downstairs, but they have to make their way up if they want to engage South Africa. There's just 6 squad downstairs. More nades being traded back and forth. Nothing really hitting. And I come back to this topic. Mali seems to be a little bit passive even now.
Yeah, I was loving this. 6 squad does a good job at the bottom floor. You would think then the top floor should be getting cleared out by util, but somehow they do get that res on through. So 6 squad, more important that he stays alive in the bottom. I say that, he goes down immediately, and I'm on from the top. Not going to be able to do a whole lot. Reverb is dancing around it as well. They're trying to find fights. They're trying to isolate angles, but they're just severely outnumbered and out-angled here. They have to try and find an opening to explode into one side. If you're surrounded in a building, the nades will come in, and you're slowly but surely getting choked out. South Africa, this was not their fight. We love them when they're aggressive. This fight, they couldn't get that going. They couldn't just start their engines.
Unfortunately, no, and Mali also one of the first times that they've been able to finish a fight like that. Usually they're on the shorty end of the stick, and this time around 4 frags though being picked up. Mali, I said I like their aggression, but I'm not sure if it's going to be enough against this team as well. Morocco has breached the building now. And ladies and gentlemen, no one's been able to face Morocco so far cleanly, not even Egypt. They've almost always lost a player. And this time around, I think it's not going to be any different. They are taking things slow for the time being. No one's straight up rushing in. That's how disciplined these guys are. But let's be honest, Kovo, I think it's going to be a matter of time until they breach this.
Yeah, they are well determined. They've put 3 players here, 1 player on the ridge line. It is Lazy who gets them the information, and who will be able to tell them, what is that nade, by the way? What? Who will be able to tell them that nobody has crossed into the open concrete, or when the player has crossed, and now they're going in. Marshall's going around the corner. They're clearing the angle slowly but surely, and this should be Morocco all the way. This is the fight they love to take, Felix. They love to third party in these parts of the game, and they are doing it right here. And I'm not counting the cards from Ali. It's not looking good.
It's not looking good at all. But they're doing this so disciplined. You can see every single corner is being checked by nades. They're closing down on where these players can be. But maybe finish with that play. That might be huge. He might just be able to catch someone off guard. But his teammate, I think right below him, is getting swamped in the meanwhile. But no, more nades are raining on through. Now comes the nade. Escanor goes down. And I said they're playing this as disciplined as it gets. And he keeps on getting better from Morocco. There's 1 nade to trade things out. But only 1 player left standing. He's on the very roof.
Such a good play as well from him to get up on that roof. Nobody expected it. You can see they still don't. They still are clearing these rooms. They're still nading these rooms. Now they'll start realizing, okay, maybe there's a player all the way up top. They spot him here. They want to go for the balls. He finds one instantly. He's looking to line them up. Can they jump shot him? This is not a good fight for Morocco to take. Marshall takes things into his own hands, and he closes it out. It's a messy one, but Morocco, they took the right fight here. It doesn't matter that it was messy, because they took the right fight in the right position. Nobody else is there to greet them.
No one else there to greet them. No third-party potential at all, and they will have a clean rotation into the northern side as well. Talking about the next team, favorites here going in. It is, again, miraculous thing so far. Quicks, I mean, how the hell is he so fast on these doubles? S12K in hand, Scar even to back that off. Doesn't even need it. Because Egypt, just like Morocco, just plowing through these edges. And there's no one there to stop them at all. Hammer even gets shot out. Tunisia goes down just like that. 1, 2, 3 being picked up by Egypt. And they've overtaken Morocco again. 4 points now in this round against Morocco's 2.
These 2 teams are just unavoidable in the lobbies. Mauritius as well, by the way, picked up 3, right? So they are still putting themselves in the mix. But everything Egypt does just looks so convincing. In Morocco as well. You love to see it, right? Picking the right fight in the right position at the right time. Now Mauritius, more of the same. Good damage dealt. But they are just a bit shy of getting the knock here. 1 knock comes out. Niger on the lower side, on the upper hand, clearly Mauritius. But this is not a fight that we've seen before, Felix. Oh my god, that's a nice trade over the ridge line. But this is not a fight like we've seen the one before. This is getting third-partied from all sides, all angles. This is messy at best.
Yeah, but Mauritius still seems to have, you said it yourself, the upper hand. Niger, now there's just 2 players left standing. And you can tell they're getting to the vehicles. They want to rotate off. Nigeria is there, though, to maybe potentially continue that fight. I'm not sure Mauritius wants to take that fight, though. Nigeria, unfortunately for Mauritius, has been fighting quite valiantly in their last round from what we've seen. They almost had a chance of winning this one as well. I said before, if not for these actions from Zuxi, we would have just seen a win from Nigeria as well, and maybe another team in the top 3, top 4 placements, but not like this. Mauritius has to fall back, and Nigeria stays alive with 2.
Staying alive is big. Staying clean in this is big. So Things you love to see. The third parties, yes, they came in, but no flushes collected towards the side of Mauritius. They've been the surprise of the day, I think it's fair to say. They've been mighty consistent, and they've been chipping away at the points. They've been picking up frags here, there, left, right, and center. Never crazy games, never popping off insanely. But again, they're 4-man up. They've got 4 elims. They're making this into another good round. And even though the circle is not super favorable, it should allow them to hold out that duo. And it should allow them to just mount up into another decent round.
And you can see Mauritius, they're not changing positions at all. They don't need to either. They have perfect hold on that southwestern side, southeastern side as well. They can control everything from the ridgelines they play. But so does Nigeria. We're rotating just across the street. They've got some pretty good compounds as well, though. As I said, Lucifer with that big split towards almost the center of the circle has got kind of an advantage going into the next couple of phases. Next fight is coming up. Madagascar on the other side now as Egypt has breached this building. It's a 4-on-4, but Mohammed has been taken down. But I think it's just a matter of time until he gets back up.
It's a 4-on-3 at this point now. Slay wants to make the cross, wants to help, wants to support, and he instantly is told, no, shut the door. You're saying up there, we want to take this 4v2 in the lower ground, and they might even get the res on Zuxi, the man himself, the man who's been aggressively entry fragging it. But for now, they have to be a little bit careful. They don't know that Zekrom doesn't have a nade. If they knew, they might be a little bit more aggressive, but just like that, they don't need to. The doorstep explodes. Sora in the high grounds. He only got bandages to heal. He's got the util that his teammate might have needed, but he doesn't have the meds to get himself back up. This is looking like another Egypt fight. This is looking like another win they're taking away. But look who's pulled up to the hillside. Morocco hears what's going on, and they want in on the action.
Obviously, we said this before. That's the smart thing that Morocco's done time and time again, is focusing these guys out. Next jump around the corner happens. Who else to take that W than Egypt? Who else to take it? Of course they will clean this up. They've just been so consistent with it, and now that just leaves Slay left alive. He might be able to still have Egypt with the position he has. Little does Egypt know, though, that he's got this sideline. Yes, they potentially might have heard it, but I'm not sure they realize what the positions exactly are that Morocco is taking all around them. Yeah. They're solely focusing on this fight. Once across the street, to our south on the hillside, and the last one is rotating in as well. First shots are being traded back and forth. Zuxi down to 20 HP, but not really happening just yet. That fight, I think, is going to be delayed for another phase.
And that thing is, that fight is looking really, really good for Morocco right now, right? You see the cars, Egypt doesn't even know which cars they can get. They step out of their building, they're getting tagged instantly. Yeah. But circle's in their favor. They were way closer to the circle center than Morocco ever was. So you see Morocco now, they tried to get an opening. They tried to get an easy frag, maybe just take down one and fall away from it. They have now called this off. They've realized we have a threat in the back, and they deal with that first.
The good thing now with this fight is, it's not necessarily a good fight for Egypt, but it's a good fight for Egypt. I know it sounds crazy, but look who's going to realize what that team is. Egypt is going to realize that in a second when they connect the kill feed to the shots that Morocco is being putting out right now. So they will realize Morocco's all around us. They're going to be a team that's going to hunt us, and they can also somehow anticipate to some degree what these that very experienced roster will do as well, because that might change. If you have a Senegal, a Ghana in there, obviously it's going to be different decisions are being made than Morocco. A team that is just not scared of anyone at this stage of the tournament. They are rated. There's no way he doesn't. There is no way. How does he do?
How is he even flying out of that? There's no way. What? There's the shot.
Okay.
Surely,
I was about to say,
Carryman. There you go. Picks it up. Does what Morocco does best.
Oh, yes.
And that's the thing you love to see the crowd. Small claps, not a crazy frag, but we heard some small claps. We love to hear it. Yeah, thank you guys. Thank you guys. But they have Egypt in front of them now. And that's the big obstacle. That's the big fight they want to take. They're happy that Slay is still in the building, keeping Egypt busy. But Morocco has to think of something here. They're not even close to the circle right now.
Ooh, good shots against Slay. Egypt at this point doesn't have any reason not to engage this anymore, now that obviously Morocco and Egypt know each other's whereabouts. So there isn't any reason anymore not to take this fight. They want to clean him. They want to get that compound to themselves so they can play out of it in the later phase. You can see now Morocco with that new safe zone is in a little bit of trouble. Then again, we only have 8 teams left alive. It's phase 5. There should be breathing room even on that northern side. Even if it means engaging and breaching compound, this is not the kind of problem Morocco really has. Problem really is Egypt and what they're going to do with that position.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see Morocco clear the concretes that we see. I think it's a Somalian duo in right now. They'll spot this out, they'll scout, they'll see, okay, there's not a whole lot of action in that compound. There's not a whole lot going on. And they've even found a different entry. They found the shacks for themselves. It's another 4v2 they can be able to take. Carryman walks around the corner. He's not wasting any time. He's running these guys down. He knows there's 2 in the building. He's walking around it. No doubt in his mind. He's running this down. Falix does get traded, but he has teammates on his side. Senkai and Lazy, they do the trick. They do a 1-2, thank you. And Morocco, 6 kills and counting. They've worked their way into another circle. And they don't just rotate past teams here. They just drag their way on through.
Massive. Good pickup from Morocco. I said that I think that breach from the northern side in is going to be their way into the late game. And look how clean they played again. Lazy this time around, being the one to focus on. 4 frags on him. It's not Zenkai. I was expecting Zenkai to come into this tournament and just frag out at the African Esports Championship. He's been one of the most silent players now. I think that's not because he doesn't want to frag out or because he can't. I think it's not that at all. I think he's the one that's probably IGLing the most right now in terms of micro. How do they really want to aggress on the timing as well? I can see him being the type of guy in a lobby like this where obviously macro strategy is not as important, that he's the one to step up and make these calls. That's obviously where this player shines. One of the best Moroccan players of all time.
Yeah. This is possibly the best thing about a LAN environment. We can just go and ask them in a second here. We can just go and ask what's going on, how they're calling these games, because these lobbies are chaotic. These lobbies are crazy, and these lobbies have been so dominated by the Moroccan and the Egyptian squad. They're a completely different beast. Now Morocco is deciding to rotate past the concretes, and they're deciding to slot into a side of the circle where basically the side of the circle where Egypt isn't, right? They're creating a little bit of distance between themselves. They will realize now with the nade coming out that Ghana is right up next to them. But I think they're already mounting up for the next play. I feel like they're already mounting up for the next move into the next phase here. They're making sure their cars are safe, they're getting them ready, and they are ready to do whatever it takes to get themselves into another safe zone.
Ghana now has to greet them. That's going to be the biggest problem now. Ghana, yes, they have utility, but they're throwing out 3 players. And a Morocco squad like that is not going to let you be alive. And also, it looks like that's going to be kind of an isolated fight as soon as it happens. And there they go. Lazy has spotted him. First nade in hand.
Yeah, you hate to see that. As soon as you... my instant reaction is I see Lazy spotting him. I say, oh, bad times coming for that Ghanan squad. A bit of damage is exchanged. Spammer has to be extremely careful, though. There's going to be a lot of nades lopped towards their position right now. Zenkai is cooking one. That is looking beautiful. Nell knocked on the other side. And Morocco is opening things up nicely, easily. And they're going to aggress on this. They're not going to stay around. Do they know there's a player in the compound, though? I'm not sure. There's a big off angle.
Yes, it is. Zenkai now drives around. Marshall is the one player up close, though. He does not get shot from the distance. That's good information, but I think the revive came through. So that means it's 2 players down below the Marshall has to take out. But the blue zone is pushing the last player from Ghana out the building. I think that's what they're waiting for. Marshall just uses his car. He does not need any weapon to finish this fight. Now it's just 1 player left standing, and he's indeed in the compound. And we said this. I think they're just waiting for the blue zone to push him out. I think that's exactly what's going to happen in the following seconds.
Yeah, they know now as well. He's peaked. He's instantly put down to 1 HP. The blue zone on his back is almost done for Ghana at this point. They've had a chance there for a second. It was chaotic. It was wild. But now he's stuck to the blue, barely able to first aid off. He's going to go out here in a second. And Morocco will know this as well. 8 elims and another circle they'll have to work their way into, Felix. Because once again, they've come to the edge. They've cleared their edge. But they have to move again. And this time it's Mauritius in front of them. And if anyone can stop them, that might be the team we're looking for.
Yes, that's what the team we were hoping is going to stop Egypt and Morocco as well. We want to obviously keep up the suspense in this qualifier for Riyadh for the World Esports Championship by Iesf, and that's got to be the team to beat here. These 2 teams to beat, very obviously. Tough zones for Morocco. I keep on coming back to it. This is I think the 5th circle maybe they had to move in a row. And Morocco still made it work somehow. Keeps all 4 players alive, picks up 8 kills in the progress. Quite different to Egypt, who were kind of engaged, yes, but they let the fights come to them.
They have way more space. Egypt has so much more space to work with. Now Morocco is on the push, though. They're making the breach into the compound. Mauritius is trying to hold them out. Already cleaning up 1 there with the util. Zenkai with a big flag on the car. Makes things possible now. Logic down as well. They're making the entries. They're making the opening. If Carryman wins his 1v1, no, he can't. The UMP comes out. I think it might just be 1 left standing right now. Marshall has to get the first aid out, has to get the res on through. They've done the damage to Mauritius, but they've taken just as much in the process.
As they have. There is the opportunity to potentially revive Zenkai here, but you can see Lucifer is already opening up the angle. There's shots coming on through. Lucifer will take him down, and that's the end of Morocco. But it's a good round nonetheless. 9 frags and in 4th place. It's definitely going to get close to Egypt either way, but that's Egypt's opportunity now, and especially Mauritius to pick up the pace and get some big points on the board as they need to close the distance.
I am a little baffled that Egypt wasn't taking shots at Mauritius there. Maybe that's even on purpose. Maybe they realized what was going on. They were like, okay, we'll let you take that fight in peace. We'll set up to win the game. Do they know about the Somalia duo? No, I'm not quite sure because they've been mighty quiet in the northern side of the circle. They should know. There's 4 players left standing. There should be someone to the northern side. Now the damage comes out. Now they're well aware. Can they find the knocks? They're definitely finding the damage. But again, is a little outnumbered and outcovered here by these Somalian players. And there's the damage coming on in. He's got 3 gear at least. The 3 helmet does a bit of work. But he has to dip back into cover, and he has to slow this one down. The circle's on his side, though. Look how far Somalia has to go.
Yeah, I don't even know if Somalia has got any vehicles in that compound. If they don't, I think it's just going to be a shooting gallery for any of these teams. I think maybe even Mauritius. I think they could have an angle on this potentially as well, depending on how far Lucifer really plays that ridgeline and moves down to the compound. But I mean, the favorites to win this one, we've got to give it to Egypt. I hate to say it, but Egypt, too damn strong right now in this circle. Their positions, they're overlooking the entirety of Phase 7 right now. And it's not going to get any easier in Phase 8 because surely it has to shrink somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, they've got everything in this circle. They've got every angle they need. They've got every bit of gear they need because they've been fragging their way into this. And they've had a little bit of help to take out the arch rival. They've had a little help to take out Morocco, but that's Zuxi taking a lot of damage. He's in a bit of an odd position. He needs to get out of there. Smokes himself, gets the first head off, and stays alive for now. That's big because the longer he survives, the more time they have to take out Somalia, and the more time they have to take control. Circle shifting on in. And their focus right now should be Somalia first, and then we'll turn around towards Mauritius.
Lucifer has made his way back into the building. That means it's essentially just Egypt that has to focus on Somalia right now. Now, I said it. I'm not so sure if they have vehicles. They do indeed. And it's one player rotating out, the other one covering, and is trying to make his way through the smokes that they've thrown beforehand. Good play coming out from Somalia, and they might have just done it. I think Ali's not inside yet, but he's at least close the distance, and that's already worth your waiting goal.
Yeah. Well, they've made it further on in, but they haven't made it into the circle, and they have now multiple angles looking towards them. There's no chance. I think Ali has no chance either. I've seen the shots on the map already popping up. Mauritius trying to clear out Ali here, trying to get that kill point and playing for second instead of maybe making a move towards Egypt. But look at the util now coming out. It's a matter of time. That car is not going anywhere, and Ali, he'll have a numbered amount of smokes. Egypt is looking really, really strong in this one. What can Mauritius do about it?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think they need to activate right now. Now the sidelines are almost perfect. And they took down a player as well. Mauritius needs to activate. They need to move now if they want to say in this round. It doesn't matter when Ali goes down. You need to close the distance. You need to take the win if you want to have a chance of qualifying. The distance is already too big almost for anyone to catch up to Egypt and Morocco. So I'm hoping to see Faker move out, but they're not doing that just yet.
That's Ali going down. That's us down to a 4 versus 2, and Egypt instantly realizes. You can see the focus switching again. He's been in these games, fragging the hell out again. And Zuxi, heroes of the last 2 games, are looking to do this again. 5 and 5 elims respectively. They're looking to make this a 16-kill win, and they're looking to just take absolute control of the scoreboard. Look how much space Mauritius has left. This is all but over. Zuxi in a position like this, how are you going to stop him?
There's no way. There is no way to stop this. At least not in any dimension that I've been in terms of PUBG Mobile Esports. And I think this one is going to be just as tough as we've seen from Egypt as well. There goes the first breach. Mohamed takes him down. They're looking to get a 16-point dinner. 16 eliminations on top of the 10 placement points as Egypt will once again be the champion of the match. And we've said these 2 favorites will run away with it. But Egypt is the one team that's won the rounds consistently enough to be at the top of the scoreboard by quite a big difference now, especially with Morocco going down in 4th place.